Oh my God. Oh, she's just posted that now. Okay. Uh, Get you in a second. Huh. Oh. I thought hmm, let's just go into my dashboard. Alarm rate. Close to good for now. Ah. No, no, 1 second. Take a look. Oh, you know. Um, uh, hang on. Input, output. Hang on, have I doubled up something? Hoi. Rachel's comrade, Tim speaks here. Hi, Tim. Still echo? I thought I had sorted this. Not good. Give me a minute. Hang on. Are the speakers picking me up? That means I can take you off. Hoi. Oh, motherfucker. Oh my. Oh my. Hi, Specs. Slightly tinny. I still have that. Just make sure the webcam on my laptop doesn't have a speaker in it, I don't think. But I'll just mute it to be on the safe side. I need to fix that a bit. Filters, edit filter. Add a filter. Nice. Huh? That should be it. Is that better? Hoi. I'll be with you momentarily, Specs. I've put noise suppression on. Fantastic. Yay. Go to my channel, please. Oh, don't you play funny buggers with me, you sinless bastard. Our poor Kev has headache. Good advice from Vogel, by the way. Take care and stay hydrated. He's probably just dehydrated. Might be more than likely dehydrated, but there could be other reasons. I will not presume. Could be anything really. Do 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 do. Oi, thank you. Oh, yeah, I can get rid of that. Delete that bookmark up beside you. What the hell? My God, you're tipsy. Why have you went that slow? That's weird. Could maybe go a little bit bigger as well. Give me a second. That's excellent. There you go. Give me a second, everyone. No one could ever fill in for Kev. I'm a Kev alternative. But yeah, filling in for him. I hope he gets better. Rejoice, comrades. John the Brazen is here. Hi, John. Feels weird going live at 10. Would you look at this? Banksy, you are amazing. Thank you, William Moore. Hi. I will just let everyone. Ooh, rejoice, comrades. Linton 10 is here. Hi, Linton. How you doing? I'll just let everyone soak in this absolute genius. Delightful. Bloody hell. Oh, God. It's getting infected again. They did. Now he's seen as a great artist. Oh, I've always liked his stuff. Whenever it's made it into the news and stuff like that. Oh God, I'm going to get this wrong. He started in Bristol, didn't he? Or was it Brighton? Bristol? Brighton? If anyone can educate me, please put in the chat. Banksy's latest piece has already been shut down because it's about Palestine. Funny that. Right. The street artist Banksy has unveiled a new piece at the Royal Courts of Justice in London. God, he didn't do it on the side of a court, did he? Bristol. Thanks, John. Looking at it, it's clear he's making a statement about how the UK is increasingly using legal means to restrict the right to speak out. Yeah. Fittingly, the powers that be immediately moved to hide his message from public view. Oh God, he did do it on this. Not exactly the most exciting part of police work, I would say. Good for him. Nice one, Banksy. Barry Malone. Thank you. Look at it. That is just why. Just taking a big risk doing that on the side of a fucking court. I bet it would be Linton. People have tried desperately to find out who this man is, or this individual is, because I shouldn't presume to think it's a man. Watch this. It will be a team of people probably. Hence the anonymity. Ugh, quite much. Oh yeah, yeah, everyone. I can't remember that. Fuck. Naughty Kitty. You might have a name, but you didn't have a fucking face, which is what they want. Under Keir Starmer, Britain is increasingly keen to tell people what they shouldn't do. Don't protest. Don't oppose the genocide. Don't even call it a genocide. It's a genocide. Come after me. Don't look at the Banksy. Too late. And for the love of God, do not look at the Banksy. Again, too late. I still wonder this thing that we don't agree with the Yes, allow. God damn it. You got put up for review there with your message to Linton, but no, we did freedom of speech in this place. Thank you. Oh my God. That was unbelievable. Analyzing the image above, it looks the initially duct-taped black plastic over the piece before erecting a mini Berlin Wall in front of it. Excuse me. That is just that is just stupid, really. Clearly, that wasn't enough, as pedestrians might still be able to sense the raw, unfettered symbolism behind their fortifications. Covering all bases, they instructed two of their best men to stand guard and prevent anyone from sneaking. If I was those two police, I'd be demanding a chair and regular cups of tea or coffee if they like that. As the day goes by, we imagine they'll add to the defences. A whole troop of police. Perhaps they'll construct a gun tower or arrange an IDF flyover. The Canary's having far too much fun with this. Probably they should build a moat around Ground Zero or just vaporise it with an orbital. If they don't, the risk that is someone will see Banksy's piece and think maybe we should be criminalising people for speaking out against war crimes. That wall they erected is no doubt bringing back bad memories for Banksy who completed several pieces on Israel's segregation wall in 2020 years ago. Oh, oh, that's yeah, that's Portuguese, obviously, but that could be Brazil, a Brazilian member. Huh. Wow. Oh, I remember that one. Oh, don't you worry about it being vulgar. The language exists for people to use it. There is no such thing as bad language, only bad grammar. That really should irritate people more of the it's grammatically wrong. There's no such thing as bad language. Robin, Clooney. You shouldn't think about Israel segregating the Palestinian people, though, because that might lead to more thoughts and feelings, and we can't be having that, apparently. You especially shouldn't think about what Amnesty International called Israel's apartheid against Palestinians. Not let you think about that. A cruel system of domination and a crime against humanity. Correct. Don't think about how Israel subjected the Palestinians to decades of such conditions before 7th of October. I'm not doing that Americanly. Or what do you do if you find yourself in similar circumstances? Missing the point on Banksy, they always do. The picture of Banksy's latest is taken from his Instagram when I grabbed a copy for this piece. Nice one. I made the mistake of looking at the comments and was bemused that some have assumed the piece was about the wave of flag shacking that swept the nation. No, no, the person on the ground has a placard. Oh, fucking idiots. Yeah, they can criminalise it all they fucking like. Still gonna say the shit. Do these flag idiots think they're technically they should all be arrested for public defacement uh, on certain things. You can do it to your house if you like. Carry on. Yeah, well they've been doing that for forever. Since there was an organised left at least. Oh God, I don't even attempt anymore. There's people, there's a bar here in Glasgow called Solid Rock Cafe, and I've had heated debates with the help of a couple of my comrades from back in the day. Anarchists seem to like that pub for some reason, but a lot of a lot of bikers and a lot of heavy metal enthusiasts, they're right wingers, which seems a bit weird. So no, it's just music band. They're a left wing music band. What the fuck? The bar manager came to my she tried not to get too involved in the political side of music and shit. I did. And she turned round to the guys who were basically annoying me. Katie's right, leave her alone. They are left wing. What? No, they're not. Yes, they are. Now just shuffle on, go and sit down and drink your pints. Panics. They're left wing. Listen to the fucking lyrics. Mm. Obviously, it wouldn't make sense if the guy was holding an England flag because no one, no is being, no one is being criminalised for holding an England flag. If some meathead happens to have a St George's cross wrapped around his neck while he commits a racially aggravated assault, the issue isn't the flag, the issue is the racially aggravated assault. Correct. Oh God. Hello! God damn it. Oh, just, that's the Danish flag, you fucking idiots. If you're going to do the flag of St. George's, the England flag, get it right, please. Let's get something else clear. Up and down the country, people have sprayed crosses and hung flags wherever they like, and the authorities have mostly just left them to it. Banksy made a statement about actual oppression, and before you could shake a gavel, it was wiped from existence. Thankfully, plenty of people did understand what they were looking at. Oh, I fucking love that. A barrister's walking past. Oh my God. Bloody hell. Okay, Banksy's new artwork at the Royal Courts of Justice is a. Oh, for crying out loud. Oh, Nightbot. I'm timing you out for 10 minutes. Oh, we've got a 10-minute reprieve. So fucking stupid. Right. Banksy's new artwork at the Royal Courts of Justice is a judge striking a protester with his gavel with the CCTV turned away. They've already hidden it. Good idea, John. Good idea. Oh, we did get a Banksy. It depicts a judge swinging to a protester with a blank sign with his gavel, symbolising the state brutality unleashed on protesters following the proscription of Palestine action. So, oh, we do not comply.org. I will leave that there for a few seconds so people can, well, that's easy enough, we do not comply.org. Yeah, I condemn Hamas. There we go. Done with it. Banksy's work of art on the Royal Courts powerfully depicts the brutality unleashed by Ben Cooper on protesters by proscribing them. When the law is used as a tool to crush civil liberties, it does not extinguish dissent, it strengthens it. Well said. Um, minors, so that'd be 384. There we go. Clearly, the days of the establishment treating Banksy like a national treasure are over. As he's always spoken out against the establishment, that can only be a good thing. Oh, prepare yourself, people. I've already read this. Oh, 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 there we go. Oh, fuck. Ah, right. Oh, yeah, yeah, the latest one, yeah, they haven't, yeah, this is the biggest escalation so far from the state. A sharp-eyed left-winger has accused Keir Starmer and the Labour Party of pinching the colours and styles used by grassroots left group Ordinary Left in his latest ad. Twitter account @LeftMosaic noticed the eerie similarity in an awful jingoistic video Stammer posted on Twitter with the comment, "Defence is an engine for growth across our country." Demanded to know why Stammer had stolen the group's graphic style and accused him and his party of being charlatans and absolutely nowhere near the left. Good point. Oh my God. Bastards. Left Mosaic went on to post a pointed follow-up containing 4 images, none of them complimentary, targeting Starmer's support for Israel's genocide in Gaza. The RAF continues to run spying supply flights for the Israeli military, with the first pointing out that genocide may be an Israeli value, but it's certainly not a British one. Oh, Christ. Rejoice, comrades. Shanna Cranky Pants has told me to hydrate. I forgot to fill my water bottle. Give me a minute. Left Mosaic, sue them. No. I'm doing well. Thanks, darling. Hydration completed. Boom. Well, we are covering some news first. I went early because my message, my DM I sent to you. Poor Kev. Let's see this. Oh. Not pulling their punches, I see. Good for them. The punchy white and dark red theme was not enough to make Stammer's video any less awful, and others agreed in responses to Stammer's heavily ratioed post. Fucking yes. Which at the time of writing had almost twice as many replies as shares, considered a sign of a disastrous post. Just a few typical replies out of well over 1,000 are below. Oh. Hang on. Just to be on the safe side, I will take that out. Is that better? I still had my actual mic sitting to my left, plugged in. I've unplugged it now. Is that better, darling? Fantastic. Thank you, darling. Right. A wartime economy is good for fascists, but everyone else suffers. Tax goes on bombs. Bombs kill people. Well said. Let's see. John Steeler? Don't believe the Hasbara. Akir Stammer wants to send your sons and daughters, not his, to die on the killing fields of Ukraine. Like Blair, he's a warmonger who wants to become a multimillionaire on the deaths of our children. Reject him and his lies. Michael Byrne. Stammer's Labour are same as Tories on austerity, correct. Same as Reform on refugee hate, correct. Worse than Tories on environment trashing planning protections. Like a Tim Pot dictatorship on civil rights and protest, actively backs Israel's genocide. He is an evil fraud. Well said. Oh, so, oh, Silver River. You've been you've been banned on my channel. I didn't realise that. There's no one on my banned list. Interesting. There's no one on my banned list. Everyone that's on it has been kicked off Twitch from other channels as well. I've seen you out and about in chat, in different chats and stuff. You seem fine. Welcome, Silver River, to the YouTube. Welcome. Right, next one. There's quite a few here. Okay, Susan Reed. The government has money for war but can't afford to feed the poor, the vulnerable, the sick, the disabled, or lift children and families out of poverty. Correct. Increased defence spending is financed through higher taxes or increased public debt. It will have a detrimental effect on GDP growth. Cool. Are you in my Discord? Oh, I have no idea how to post it in my YouTube chat. You know. Um, huh. Are you in other people's Discord? I could send you. I don't know how to do this because I don't have my Discord on the sim list which the YouTube chat is on. Interesting. Give me a minute. Give me a bit. We'll get through the story, then I'll bring up my YouTube chat on my phone, on my actual phone. Huh, curious. Right, Gary, the Gary Jackal. Okay, investing in war and death. In war and death. What a man. Have Israel promised you that you'll be busy? No vision, no idea. Desperate vision for growth from a desperate man. Then you change. Hello, then you change. Won't do anything to alleviate poverty. Won't do anything to alleviate your welfare reforms mess. Yes. Won't do anything for the underfunded NHS. Correct. Won't do anything to resolve the social care crisis. Yes. Won't do anything for the working poor. Family members included in that one. Won't do anything to fight inequality. Correct. Thank you, venue change. Furious graphic designer Edward Tornsey, who created the style for Ordinary Left, told Squawk Box that Labour's mimicry only confirmed the group's influence and strengthened its determination. We built a strong visual identity which has become synonymous with the strength, resilience, and voice of the British left. This attempt by the Labour Party to co-opt our movement only serves to affirm our influence and strengthen our resolve. Oh, I can leave a comment because I'm logged in now. Cool. Okay. Right. Oh, you're in the Discord. Cool. Oh, itchy, 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 itchy. Ah, stay on. Thank you. I have no idea what I have in my watch later. Oh, fucking hell. I will, I will get to you. Don't fucking panic on YouTube, for Christ's sake. If at some point after midnight this clicks back over to normal and I have to suffer through ads, I do apologise. But as it stands, no ad. Christ almighty. Posted in general. Thank you very much, Silver River. Much better. Watch later. Oh, Demo's back. Oh, I've only got one from Demo. Okay. Move, move. Yeah. Done use all. Move, move. What have I got in here? Thanks, Jimmy. Right, before we get into Demo's video, I need to go and deal with myself. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Mm. Okay.
Right, so Britain has just spent £10 million arresting pensioners, priests, a blind man in a wheelchair for the second time, and even apparently a mannequin, all under terrorism laws, for the unthinkable crime of holding placards once again in Parliament Square in support of Palestine action. Nearly 900 people were bundled into vans, cuffed and branded as extremists. Holocaust descendants were processed as though they were Al Qaeda. Healthcare workers in scrubs were told they were national security threats. It would be comical if it wasn't so chilling. A state criminalising conscience in the name of counter-terrorism. Yet while the Met was busy terror labelling the vulnerable and the defiant, Elbit Systems, Palestine Action's favourite target, was packing its bags. Its Bristol factory, leased until 2029, sat abandoned, guarded only by a lone security man. It was the third closure in as many years, following retreats in Oldham and London, each forced by Palestine Action's rooftop occupations, blockades, and relentless disruption. So herein lies the contradiction. A government unleashing its terrorism laws on citizens to defend a war profiteer, and a war profiteer retreating anyway. The state flexes its muscles in Westminster, but the company it shields folds in Bristol. And that leaves the question hanging. If even Elbit no longer believes it can win, how long before the state itself finally admits the same? Right, so this past weekend, as we've now seen on many a weekend before it now,
Hi,
Britain
Nemo.
revealed its contradictions in full as the Metropolitan Police in Parliament Square unleashed one of the largest waves of arrests in modern history, branding hundreds of ordinary citizens as terrorists. Nearly 900 people were detained under the Terrorism Act for little more than sitting silently with placards or voicing support for Palestine Action, the direct action network that has targeted Israel's largest arms manufacturer. But at the same moment, one of Elbit Systems' flagship UK sites stood empty. The Aztec West facility in Bristol, leased until 2029, was deserted, with only a security guard left on watch. Even while proscribed, it seems, Palestine Action is still winning their fight against them. Elbit had already shut down its Ferranti plant in Oldham in 2022 and its Kingsway office in London in 2023 after Palestine Action's rooftop occupations, the spray paint campaigns and the blockades. Now Bristol has, it seems, joined the list. So while the British state was criminalising conscience to protect Elbit by arresting pensioners and Jewish descendants of Holocaust survivors, disabled people and apparently at least one dummy, the company itself was abandoning its public face in the UK. Elbit survives through billion-pound government contracts, but it looks like it no longer dares show itself openly. It doesn't want to show its face any longer. I can't imagine why that might be. The empty factory in Bristol, set against that backdrop of overflowing police vans in Westminster packed with little old ladies and the likes, raises an entirely justifiable question at this point, therefore. Has Elbit itself already concluded that Palestine Action will win the day? The Metropolitan Police claimed necessity, though. They deployed over 2,500 officers and arrested nearly 900 people, with 857 of them detained under the Terrorism Act. Officers insisted the operation was about public safety, that violence was threatened, that Parliament needed protection. That mannequin looked at me funny. That disabled chap can't see me at all. He must be plotting something. The ridiculousness of it all writes itself. But the scenes in Parliament Square told another story. Protesters sat silently in rows, holding placards. Elderly pensioners leaned on sticks. Priests stood in their clerical collars. Healthcare workers wore their scrubs. Holocaust descendants carried handwritten signs. A blind man in a wheelchair, holding a banner he could not see but could believe in, waited calmly to be cuffed. The footage showed no riots, no weapons, no mobs. What it showed was peaceful defiance, and a state branding that defiance as terrorism. And the symbolism of those arrested pierced through the entire state narrative like a hot knife through butter. Naomi Wimborne Idrissi, the co-founder of Jewish Voice for Labour, was detained as arrestee number 851. She later described the psychological tricks employed by the Met. Officers playing friendly cop to coax out personal details. Whispers that those who resisted would be shipped to Scotland. Hints that queue jumping was possible for the compliant. She spent hours in...
Oh, 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 oh. Different legal system, different laws. Can't do that. You have to get the permission from PERC for that one. And seriously, why would you do that? It's hundreds of miles you're transporting people. I'll need to go over my block list. I've just done that 2 days ago. There's no one on my block list. If I've blocked you, if I've banned you, or blocked you, you show up on a register, a list on my Streamlabs. There's no one there. There's people, you aren't there unless you went by a different name on Twitch. If that's the case, if it's a different name over on Twitch, let me know and I can take you off it. But I'm not, I recognise you. Curious. The ones who are on my banned list, they're all still there and they keep on trying to appeal it and I just say fuck off. No, I see them because this is my space. This is legit, I control, well, within certain aspects. Unless you've got a ban from Twitch itself, then I won't see it. But if I blocked you, I see it. And all the ones that are there, they're all, I know what names and what naming conventions they use. So there's not one that might be questionable, at least in my eyes. If you're a different name over there, DM me. It's Numpty Woman over there. If you're in the Discord, I would see it anyway. So DM me if it's a different name on Twitch and I can take you off. You might have just irritated me a bit. If you were just sort of blocked. If I've blocked you, it should tell you just click off, then you can come back in. You're blocked for however long I set. I think my minimum's a week or a month. And you come back in after a month and say I'm back from the block. You're not blocked. Is that you, King? Huh. That is weird. I've never blocked you. You've never. So the only thing I can think of is that Twitch has blocked you or banned you. I've never blocked you. You've never annoyed me. It's you. I've never blocked you. Ever. That's weird. If it's not on my end, there's not much I can do, sorry. If you've been blocked by, or streamers ban people for obvious reasons. Kind of go away, fascist bastard, essentially, or troll, or just otherwise Egypt, who is not debating in good faith. That's odd. I'll need to check that. Are you okay on YouTube? I would never ban you. That's weird that you've been blocked in some sort of fashion. I will fix this. If you're okay for tonight on YouTube, I'll unblock you. I'll get you back in on Twitch for tomorrow night's stream.
Police vans and holding areas only to be processed at Brixton in the early hours. Caroline Gellanter, a Jewish peace activist and descendant of Holocaust survivors, was supposed to just be an observer, but chose to join in instead. She was cuffed and dragged away, bailed in the early morning, due back in November. The image of a Holocaust descendant being branded as a terrorist for opposing genocide being committed by a so-called Jewish state makes an entire mockery of all government claims. But most shocking was once again the sight of Mike Higgins, 62-year-old blind pensioner in a wheelchair, arrested once already last month He returned this weekend undeterred. When officers arrested him again under terrorism laws, his response to it all was biting. And I'm a terrorist. That's the joke of it. Of course I'll keep coming back. What choice do I have? His insistence on braille communication from police highlighted not just repression, but an expectation of systemic inaccessibility too, quipping, "We'll see if it happens." These were not extremists, they were symbols. By arresting them, the state destroyed its own claim to any sort of legitimacy under law. Under no circumstance can these people be reasonably seen to be terrorists, highlighting the stupidity and overreach of the Starmer regime. And the use of the Terrorism Act is not incidental either. It was deliberate and it was grotesque. Legislation written to tackle Al-Qaeda or ISIS has been turned inward on citizens holding placards for no other reason than to protect Israeli interests. Their arms interests. Arms being used for genocide. Arms being made here in the UK. By stretching terrorism to cover support for Palestine action, the state created a precedent. Dissent itself can be branded extremist any time they see fit. This is why the judicial review over Palestine action's prescription in November is so important. This should terrify more than those who care about Palestine. It goes far beyond that. It sets a template for criminalising any kind of a movement, climate movements, anti-war campaigns, or even trade union strikes, potentially. If a placard can be terrorism, then anything can. And yet the deployment was chaotic. Custody suites across London overflowed. Detainees were transported to Bromley, Heathrow, Harrow, Barking. Some were told they might end up in Bournemouth or Scotland. Officers themselves complained of 25-hour shifts, cancelled leave and logistical meltdown. But hey, it's their choice to follow orders, isn't it? What was intended as a show of force, though, looked instead like a...
Is that weak? 25-hour shifts being a police. Fuck that. Obviously, ACAB, I believe in that wholeheartedly, but making them do 25-hour shifts, you'd only be able to do 2 of them a week. Physically, I'm not talking legally. Physically, you'd only be able to do 2 of them a week. You can't make people work that long. Ugh. People's physiology. I've known friends and family members who have worked far too many fucking hours a week in their lives. All the people I'm talking about are all over 50, by the way. Don't worry, they're not doing those hours anymore. One of whom was super happy he's in his own bedroom. He's in his bed. The most he's done in 1 week as a postman working in the mail centre. Not direction. Overlook. That direction. Over there. Get it right eventually. Was 108 hours. I didn't think that was physically possible. That was in the lead up to Christmas time, by the way. It's called the pressure. Shouldn't be physically possible. But there's people who do that closer to Christmas. You know, like it starts in late November, by the way. And some of them still do 80 plus hours a week during that fortnight leading up to Christmas. And most of the overtime, most of those hours get taxed higher. So you're losing a good chunk of it doing all that hard work and losing was it between 180 and 260 of your weekly wage, which is just daft. It's not worth the hassle, in my opinion, especially working in the mail centre. Fucking hell.
The system at breaking point. The state had arrested more people than it could process at once. It had overreached. And that overreach exposed its brittleness too. The financial cost underlined the absurdity all the more. The Independent reported that September's operation alone would cost at least £10 million. This is money spent not on repairing social services or investing in communities or protecting those communities, but on arresting those communities. Disabled protesters like Higgins were arrested at vast expense while disability services remain gutted by austerity. Local councils warn of insolvency, yet tens of millions are poured into policing placards. When was the last time any of these officers prosecuted a mobile phone theft, incidentally? What are the police for anymore when the waste of resources on something like this appalls so many of us? How sustainable is this? It can't be, can it? How long can the state justify this drain for an operation that fails to achieve its stated aim? Elbit still shut Bristol. Protesters still returned. If anything, sympathy's grown. Each arrest costs money and legitimacy. Each image of police dragging away pensioners costs trust. At what point does the price of suppression outweigh the benefits? While Westminster was flooded with police vans, Bristol's Aztec West stood silent. Elbit had walked away, staff gone, operations ceased, lease abandoned until 2029. This was a company that on paper had everything on its side. Government backing, billions in contracts, the full force of the Terrorism Act seemingly mobilised in its defence. And yet it folded, packed up, went home. This was no isolated retreat. Each time Palestine Action's direct action campaigns, from rooftop occupations to blockades, spray-painted walls, they made business impossible. Each time, Elbit preferred to cut its losses rather than endure the reputational damage. The Bristol closure shows that prescription has not broken Palestine Action. If it has not even slowed it, in fact. If anything, it's vindicated the activist claim. Direct action works. Historical record says they're right too. We have a long history of direct action in this country. When petitions fail, when Parliament refuses, when ministers criminalise dissent, physical disruption achieves what legality cannot. And the timing asks the most provocative question of all. If Elbit felt protected by prescription, why retreat? Was this an implicit concession that the ban will not hold up in court, or an admission that prescription cannot stop reputational collapse? Has Elbit itself already lost faith in the British state's ability to protect it? Elbit's not disappeared. It's still winning billion-dollar deals abroad. Its order backlog stood at $23.1 billion in 2025, with two-thirds of sales outside Israel. It recently signed a $1.635 billion defense deal in Serbia and a $130 million rocket system contract. Financially, as a company, it thrives. But the geography of that survival matters. In Britain, Elbit is retreating from public view. It can no longer maintain factories or offices in communities. Instead, it burrows into government contracts and be shielded from scrutiny in so doing. Reports abound that the Ministry of Defence is preparing to award a £2 to £2.5 billion 15-year contract to run military training infrastructure to them. This is survival by patronage, not by legitimacy. And it switches the focus from factories to the government itself, the same government prescribing those protesting against it. A company that cannot keep its own buildings open must survive by embedding itself in the state's bureaucracy, and the government is rolling out the red carpet to them in that regard, it seems. They hide in backrooms, behind classified training programs, all out of public sight. But dependence is weakness too. A firm that relies on state subsidy for survival is exposed to political shifts. Public outrage grows. International courts investigate genocide. What happens when the cost of protecting Elbit outweighs its usefulness? Contracts can be cancelled. Reputation once lost cannot. Amid this clash of state repression and corporate retreat, the protesters themselves stand out as symbols of moral authority. Naomi Wimborne-Idrissi exposes the lie that Palestine Action supporters are violent extremists. Caroline Gellinter, a Holocaust descendant, embodies the moral inversion of arresting Jews for opposing genocide. Mike Higgins, a blind man in a wheelchair, personifies the absurdity of branding the vulnerable as terrorists. Each of these stories is an image. Higgins cuffed in his chair, helpless but defiant. Gellinter dragged away, her family history of survival mocked by this state. Wimborne-Idrissi recounting threats of long-distance transfers, exposing the psychological warfare of the Met. These images cut through the fog of state rhetoric. They show where legitimacy truly lies. States criminalise dissent when they cannot answer it. Corporations retreat into state cover when they lose social licence. It happened with the suffragettes, branded criminals until their victory was inevitable. It happened at Orgreave, where police violence delegitimized state authority. It happened under apartheid, where companies clung to government contracts even as the world turned away. Each time, repression failed. Each time, the side of legitimacy prevailed. Each time, history judged not the state's force, but the people's persistence. So who is winning? The state can count its arrests, Elbit can count its contracts, but the protesters can point to an empty factory in Bristol now. Force without legitimacy collapses. Contracts without consent crumble. Prescription without acceptance fails. The contradiction of this September weekend tells the story. Police vans filled with pensioners and priests, a factory emptied of staff guarded by a lone man. One side flaunts repression, the other forces retreat. But the question that remains is this, though. Does Elbit already believe it cannot win? Its retreat suggests it does. And if even Elbit doubts the state's ability to protect it, how long before the facade falls completely? History will not remember the number of people processed through custody that weekend. It will remember the image of a blind man branded a terrorist, of a Holocaust descendant dragged away, and of a deserted factory in Bristol. These are the emblems of a strategy collapsing in real time. The British government can criminalise conscience. Elbit can hide in the shadows of government contracts. But neither of them can erase the truth. Direct action works. Legitimacy lies with the protesters, and repression has already begun to backfire. It's not like the Starmer regime isn't trying to justify this prescription where it can, though, much being made of the alleged independent reviewer of UK terrorism legislation backing the government's prescription, in fact. But then this watchdog is actually just one man, a man married to the daughter of a major patron of UK Lawyers for Israel, as it happens, and who apparently stands guard outside the synagogue when she's at prayer, at worship, at that. But guarding against what exactly? It's an endorsement that has also backfired hard, as no doubt you can imagine. So get all the details of that story in this video recommendation here as your suggested next watch. Please do also hit like, share and subscribe if you haven't done so already, so as to ensure you don't miss out on all new daily content, as well as spreading the word and helping to support the channel at the same time, which is very much appreciated. Holding power to account for ordinary working class people, and I'll hopefully catch you on the next vid. Cheers, folks.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another slightly symbological.
Not for public consumption. I wouldn't dream of stealing any, unless it's good for what I'm talking about. But I still haven't watched this detailed diatribe from Blue and Red yet on OSP. I will get round to it eventually.
Right, so Britain has just spent £10 million arresting pensioners, priests.
Thank you, Demo. Oh, God. Oh, there's her. A little foray into Scottish politics. This is Martin Geisler. So this is the Scottish version of Laura Kuenssberg. There is a reform Egypt. Oh, fuck. Fuck it. If I get clapped for this, don't worry, it won't shut down my YouTube straight away. I'll just get a copyright claim on it. Hopefully I won't, because it is in the fucking BBC building down on the river. No! I keep on meaning, Lefty says I should, my left eye, everyone, go and follow my left eye. He be Mancunian, he be leftist, he be awesome. I do so love my left eye.
Hello there, it's been a long old summer, but it's good to be back. Welcome to the Sunday Show. We have a new Secretary of State for Scotland, and Douglas Alexander will join me in just a minute for his first big interview. After that, Reform UK's Thomas Kerr will be along to reflect on his party's conference and their plans for government.
Mad.
Yes, hello, I'm Martin Geisler. Good to have you with us today. Well, Sir Keir
Good.
Starmer did promise change, didn't he? And Angela Rayner's departure on Friday delivered that all right. A major reshuffle, but mostly the same people getting different jobs, rather suggesting perhaps that the Prime Minister had put them in the wrong ones to begin with. Anyway, there were also some obvious winners, one of whom is Douglas Alexander, the new Secretary of State for Scotland, who joins me now from London. Congratulations. Welcome to the Sunday Show, Secretary of State.
Thanks, Martin.
So, Ian Murray, let's talk about him first, if you don't mind, just for a couple of minutes. Loyal, hard-working, never any trouble, not a whiff of scandal about him, carried you through the desert up here for all those long years, and a sacking is his reward. It's not a good look, is it? Why was he fired?
Well, listen, first of all, let me pay very generous and heartfelt tribute to the work that Ian did in the Scotland office. I'm somewhat biased. He's both a friend as well as a colleague. I've campaigned with him, for him, and we owe him, as the Labour movement in Scotland, an immense debt of gratitude. In 2015, in the immediate aftermath...
No. I didn't like Ian Murray. But this one, I thought we'd got rid of him. He's a political dinosaur up here. Mind you, so is Ian Murray. But this is his sister's a crook, by the way. That is the best description, King. Fucking hell. I like that. Oh, I don't know how to do it on YouTube. Give me a second. Ah, I can. Labour movement where exactly? Oh, I like that one. That's fun. Thank you, King. This dinosaur of an individual. Apparently, the Scottish Labour contingent up in Holyrood were peeved, to say the least. I don't like any of them, obviously, Labour. And Annas is a fucking puppet. Mark my words, we will be coming for Annas next year. Watch out, Annas. Just saying. He is the list. His second in command, Jackie Bailey, she has a constituency. We're coming after her as well, obviously. That's the two main ones, essentially, that I'm desperate to get rid of. I don't like either of them. Yeah, but Ian Murray was literally this shield up here for Labour. That and being a fucking attack dog on the SNP government. He'll be the same, obviously, Labour. Carry on, Douglas.
After the referendum, he literally kept the flag flying for Scottish Labour in the really tough times. He showed extraordinary resilience as well as abilities, and in that sense...
You took us for granted. You took us for granted. It serves you fucking right. Why do you think lots of yous, except Ian, the rest of yous got fucking wiped out? You especially, Mary took your seat. That was fun. I was watching that count and I was just stunned. Yes, he's fucking gone. God, I miss me. Join the Scottish Greens, Mary, please, I beg of you. So he got booted by Mary Black.
sense, I'm delighted that he's back in government this morning.
Yeah, he wasn't originally going to be, though, was he? In his statement, he said he's going to the backbenches. So this seems to have been kind of cobbled together. And I'm told by people close to him this morning, he's very angry about all of this. And that this offer was put to him because of a backlash from the Parliamentary Labour Party, who are also furious about all this.
Well, genuinely, I don't know. What I do know is you're both big jambos, as I understand it. Derek McInnes chooses...
What's that got to do with it? they can support Hearts if they like. And then you support who you support. That doesn't impact on what your job is, I don't think, at least. Yeah, same here, King. That's why I'm wanting her to join the Scotch Greens. She was a bit damning of Swinney. I get it. I can see him actually stepping down, not being the leader anymore, and not being the First Minister, and someone else coming taking the place. I don't know who. Forbes is stepping down. She's leaving. She's not even running. She's leaving politics. So I'm deliriously happy about that. Don't get I like the SNP. They really are quite good, and they've done well for all of us up here. They are good. They've done good policy. Unlike the Labour government, who wouldn't know good policy if it came up and you performed a sex act on them.
The team at Tynecastle, and the truth is it's the manager who chooses the players on the pitch. Sometimes there are more players than you're able to field. That's not always a problem for every football team, but
according to the Scottish Labour contingent, both up here in Holyrood and down in Westminster, they were equating Ian Murray to like your best striker, one of your best footballers, and beating them blindly because the rest of the team aren't doing that well or causing you problems off pitch or even on pitch at times, which just shooting yourself in the foot. Yeah, they fell apart after yeah. Oh, what now? Oh, Nightbot, you're pissing me off. Rejoice, comrades! It's the Morton has arrived. Hi, Morton. Thank you for the link. I'm already involved. Scotch Green. Hello. Okay, anyone else? Feel free to click on that if you're not part of the. Do I have Scottish people in my chat? I've got a few, and they've what the Scottish either YouTube or Twitch. They're already Green Party members as well. So I don't think I need to reach out to many of my Scottish chatters. But there you go, and for any English and Welsh comrades, have at. And yay, that. Fucking yes. Carry on, Douglas, you
it is
fucking idiot.
often the case that the manager wants more people on the pitch, and in that sense, these judgments ultimately rest with the Prime Minister. This is not my first reshuffle. I've been
I'm
through
going to the one in
a whole
Edinburgh
number of them. It was about
at the
this
end of
stage
next
after
month.
1997 that Tony Blair first reshuffled his pack. And the reason that that happens is a Prime Minister wants to be able to deploy ability and talent in the service of the country. That clearly was precipitated by Angela Rayner's resignation on Friday. That wasn't expected, and that led to what I think many of us discovered in the course of that day was a significantly bigger and more wide-ranging reshuffle than otherwise would have been imagined.
All right, but you're in and he's dropped. If I can kind of borrow your analogy, what do you bring to the job that he didn't? I mean, if the answer to that question is not obvious, then why the change?
Well, respectfully, Martin, it's not either or. I mean, I confidently
Well done,
expect
Martin.
that in the course of today we will have more Scots in government, Scots at the heart of government representing not just their own constituencies, but the interests of Scotland right across departments in Whitehall. And in that sense, Ian's got an important job to do both in DCIT and DCMS, those two departments. I'm looking forward to being Scotland's voice at the Cabinet table, making sure not just that I'm speaking up for Scotland, but Cabinet colleagues understand the importance of Scotland to their work. So on my first day in office tomorrow, there will be the Defence Industrial Strategy. That reflects the success we've had just in recent days in Scotland. If you talk to Graham Downey, the MP for Rosai, £340 million committed to infrastructure at Rosyth just in recent days. If you talk to Patricia Ferguson in Yoker, you look at the £10 billion contract secured from the Norwegians to build frigates, guaranteeing, incidentally, 50...
Patricia Ferguson was my MSP. She got booted out for Bob Doris at the last Holyrood elections, so we binned her. And look, she's cropped up again, this time for Yoker. For Westminster, obviously. So you can vote them out, but they still seem to fucking appear. We got rid of her as our MSP for this constituency I'm currently sitting in. Bye, Patricia. And look, a couple of years out in the wilderness, and she's managed to get a parliamentary seat. Ah, seriously, if we keep on doing that, just binning them from Holyrood, they'll just turn up at the next general election in what is classed as a safe seat. I'm wanting that to change again. Just get rid of the lot of them again. It was fun the first time. And if they keep on treating us like that and having these people just reappear in Westminster, yay, democracy. Fucking love it.
years of work on the Clyde. Now, this is not my first rodeo, Martin. Back in 1999, with Anas Sarwar's father, Mohammed Sarwar, I was petitioning people in Govan to keep the Caverna shipyard open. If you want to know the difference that a Labour government makes and the work we'll be taking forward with the Defence Industrial Strategy, look at military shipbuilding in Clyde. 15 years work guaranteed, 2,000 jobs guaranteed. That's the difference a Labour government's making, and on my first day as Scottish Secretary tomorrow, with the Defence Industrial Strategy, we'll be taking forward that work, because we're proud, but we're not satisfied.
All right, well, yeah, a big announcement last week, absolutely
well, two
granted.
big announcements, actually.
Sure, OK. But just one last one on this reshuffle, or this change of position, the change in the Scotland office, if I may. You mentioned Anas Sarwar. Was he consulted on this?
That would really be a matter you'd have to talk to between the Scottish Labour leader and the Prime Minister. But ultimately, and this is no great reveal in the context of devolution politics, it's the Prime Minister who makes the decisions in a reshuffle. And however interested individuals are in who's up, who's down, who's in, who's out, ultimately it's the Prime Minister who has the right to choose his team.
Yeah, no, sure. But I mean, there is this kind of, this hanging allegation that Scottish Labour is a bit of a branch office. You would have thought that there would have been some consultation rather than having this done to them.
Honestly, Martin, respectfully, I believe that's nonsense. And I say that's nonsense for a couple of reasons. First of all,
the sooner Labour together die, the better. Seriously, they won't be any good at their new cabinet positions, I don't think. And don't make me think shuffling her off to the Foreign Office is going to make her any less controversial. Seriously, Starmer, what are you thinking? She's still in cabinet.
Of course there is regular dialogue between Anas Sarwar and Keir Starmer. I can attest to that personally. Not only are they politically close, but personally they just get on and are able to dissuade a lot of journalists from the idea that somehow there's a zero-sum game between the Scottish Labour leader and a Labour Prime Minister. But secondly, if you know Anas Sarwar at all, he's nobody's branch of...
Yes. The getting rid of certain policies, like his promise to the 10 when he was running to become leader, then the 5 missions. Some of them were going to involve Scotland. He went back on all of them, making Anas Sarwar look like an absolute fucking dick. Do you think he gives it? He is a branch manager. He gets dictated to, or he's a puppet. Take your pick, Anas. You're either fucking incompetent or you're fucking blindly following what the Politburo are telling you. Either way, fucking damning.
His manager, he is a man preparing himself to be First Minister of Scotland. He carries himself with that demeanour. He's ambitious for Scotland's future. I'm pretty confident we can do the work to help get them there next year.
Well, the path to that destination has been made massively harder over the past 15 months by your party's performance in government at Westminster, has it not? And let's just pull back a little bit on this and look at the bigger picture of the reshuffle. Can we agree that Friday and the departure of Angela Rayner was a really bad day for your government?
Well, listen, I'm not...
Martin or Douglas? It might be the lighting setup down in well, that's the London offices. Hang on, let's see.
Pretending that the loss of
Let's
Angela
compare the
Rayner
two.
doesn't hurt many of us in the Labour Party and the Labour movement. If you look at her story, it is the most extraordinary story. Listen, I'm proud to have gone to a comprehensive in Renfrewshire, but my dad was a Church of Scotland minister, my mum was a NHS doctor. I had an incomparably more supported childhood than what Angela talks about in terms of the barriers she had to overcome. The idea that someone could leave school at 16 with very few qualifications and through sheer will, talent and ability become the Deputy Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, I want to live in that kind of country.
Sure,
that is a
but she had to
tremendous
leave that
success
position
story
because of
for
an
the
issue
Labour.
of...
Let's see. Christ, he looks as pale as me, doesn't he? Martin looks a lot healthier. Worse lighting down in London? I've been here. I've been to this building that Martin's in. It always seems a lot bright. I've never been to the ones in London, just for clarity. I've been in the ones down near the river, down that way, in there. So it feels a lot warmer. The lighting of the actual building, relatively pleasant, but it seems a lot more warmer and brighter in the building down in the BBC buildings down in the Cloud. So I don't know what the lighting's like in that down in London. Looks very, very different. He looks great, doesn't he? You're not looking exactly healthy there, Douglas.
We're
Trade
not paying
union
her
movement.
taxes
So
properly,
if you ask me, are
which
we
is a
hurt
bad
about
look.
the fact that Angela lost office? Yeah, many of us genuinely are.
Sure, but it's a bad look, isn't it? You know, the deputy leader of the party, the deputy prime minister, had to go because she wasn't paying her taxes properly. The housing secretary had to go because she wasn't paying her stamp duty properly. It's a bad look, and this is a government
to
that
that if
promised
you like,
us
to
an
get-
end
so
to
I
the
can get my
chaos
tea.
15 months ago. This
Let's do
doesn't
it.
exactly reek of stability and competence, does it?
Okay, so let me try and take those one at a time. Firstly, what did we say in the face of all the chaos we saw in the clown show from the Conservatives? That we would establish and strengthen the office of the Independent Advisor on Ministerial Standards, and we would allow ministers to be able to refer themselves directly thereto. That's partly because under the Conservatives, they actually lost their ethics advisors rather than losing their ministers. We lost 2 of the ethics advisors under the past Conservative government. And actually, of course, these things happen to every government. The real test is how do you deal with these things when they emerge. As soon as it became clear there was this issue, Angela referred herself to the independent advisor, not in months or in years, but in days. The advisor did the work. The advisor put the recommendation on the desk of the Prime Minister, and once that was on the desk of the Prime Minister made his judgment. Honestly, that feels to me very different. I know that it's not the headlines any of us would have wanted, but the real test is how does a government deal with these issues?
No, but he made his judgment and then he completely changed the cabinet. He swapped virtually all of the seats. I mean, and only 2 people left, one of whom was Ian Murray. So does that not suggest he's been looking at this cabinet for the last 15 months thinking, God, I've put you people in the wrong places?
No, I think the idea that you're never able to change your team doesn't reflect the way most workplaces work right across the country.
A year in doesn't reflect very well on the first year, does it?
No, well, the fact is he was planning a reshuffle, as I understand it, in the autumn. The events with Angela Rayner last week, of course, brought that forward. That's just common sense. If you lose the Deputy Prime Minister, there are going to be other changes that happen in terms of the seats around the table. But in that sense, I think the Prime Minister is always entitled.
How? I thought there was going to be a cabinet reshuffle after the budget. And he could have, if it didn't go down too well, I don't know what she's going to be planning, obviously. Ones that seem very deliberate to me, but he didn't want to do them because there was other things on his plate and other things happening in the media. I think he wanted Pat McFadden in Caxton House. That seems very deliberate, in my opinion. Just my opinion. Feel free to ask other family members if they're disabled or if they're claiming benefits of any description. Especially ask families who have more than 2 children. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. After the budget would make sense, because if the fallout from the budget is very negative, the Politburo could have got rid of her. Mind you, that might still happen. You never know. If the budget doesn't go down well, they might just bin Rachel, which will be funny. But we will see. We will find out. That is actually after. That is actually after all the conferences and stuff, because the budget is 26th of November, so it's fucking ages yet, essentially. Yeah, I'm scared as well. Seriously, I don't want that bastard as Department of Work and Pensions. I thought Liz Kendall was bad. He's going to be fucking 10 times worse. Just look at him. Look at him. That man looks like a fucking demon. Like some sort of skeletal spectre haunting fucking Westminster. Ugh. He does, doesn't he? Well, Melstride seems... Tory, obviously. The one that I hate the most is IDS, obviously. I'm a Gideon. 330,000 excess deaths, anyone? He'll be gunning for that number, that fucking bastard. I swear it. Mark my words. If I get proven correct, just say well done, Katie. If I live. Luckily enough, my benefit, my one, up here. But it's still blocked that BS going to happen, probably. Highest funding increase. Still down for what the Tories done to us, so we've managed to get some money out of Westminster, some more money out of Westminster, just not enough. Thank God for the tartan tax. You pay slightly more income tax here at the higher bracket. A whole penny more. Yeah. Pfizer should have won that fucking seat. Thank you, Starmer, having that bastard still in the chamber.
To choose who he would like, both in government and in the cabinet, and in that sense, of course, it was of a bigger scale. But truthfully, I get the sense that most of your viewers watching this programme are much more interested in their own jobs than cabinet ministers' jobs, much more interested in whether this cabinet is going to be delivering for them than who's up or who's down or
who's
who
in the
went
cabinet
where.
actually affects what's going to happen in the...
It won't have escaped a lot of their attention that we're now at 6 foreign secretaries in 5 years. Let me ask you about policy, though, because there's another accusation that's hanging over your government at the moment, and that's the suggestion that actually it's led by a man who's doing a lot of stuff he doesn't particularly believe in. So Keir Starmer, a career human rights barrister, now talking about effectively being kind of swaddled in the Union Jack and stopping the boats and tinkering with either changing our position with or pulling out of the ECHR. Does he have this stuff in his bones?
Well, he's not pulling out of the ECHR. If we were
to pull out of the ECHR, do that by some of your colleagues,
we would be the only member of NATO to have been in and then to withdraw. We don't want to be in a club with, as I recollect it, Belarus and Russia. So, of course, we've had quite a wide interpretation of the ECHR guidelines previously, and it's right and reasonable for the government to consider that. He's been looking at that for several months, as I understand. But the idea that we're about to leave the ECHR, it's simply not true. It's a fake solution to what's a genuine problem.
There are senior people within your party who think that the ECHR, at least our relationship with it, has to be changed. Let me ask you about you, though, because in a previous government, you were International Development Secretary for 3 years. I was working in Africa at the time. We bumped into each other occasionally as we were knocking about that place. And it struck me that you were a guy who really took pride and pleasure in helping the disenfranchised, helping people raise themselves out of difficult circumstances. You were the man in charge of aid. Do you have stop the boats in your DNA?
Well, listen, I never believed back in those days when I was Development Secretary that you had to make a choice between helping and supporting some of the poorest and most disadvantaged people on earth sustain life, and on the other hand, delivering, as we did, hundreds of thousands, indeed millions of pensioners out of poverty at home, improving educational standards, improving the health service. The key to being able to do both is growing the economy. And my sense is when we sit as a cabinet in the coming days, we will have a relentless focus on economic growth. But also, frankly, if you believe in progressive politics as I do, if people do not believe that the border is real and that we actually have control as to who comes in and who leaves our country and on what terms, they have a tendency not to vote for more progressive alternatives. They vote for the populist and reactionary right. So I actually believe at this historic juncture, and I know you're going to be interviewing Reform after me, we have a deep and heavy responsibility, both to speak up for progressive politics at home, with all of the changes we want to see in health and education and raising living standards, but at the same time to prove that a progressive government understands and gets it in relation to immigration.
Do you believe in that stuff?
In that test,
the right believe in this stuff
in
fundamentally. Do you?
For the country.
The right believe in this stuff fundamentally. Do you?
I absolutely believe that we need to be able to control our border. The first responsibility of any government, left, centre, right, is the protection of the realm and the protection of the people. And in that sense, it's right and reasonable
don't you
that we know
dare.
who's coming into the
Don't
country,
you dare,
that we
Douglas.
make those choices as a democratically elected government. And frankly, I think any politician who says, no, just throw the doors wide open, we really don't mind, I don't think they would be in government for very long, given the understandable concerns of the public.
All right, let's move this back to Scotland then, can we? A couple of days before this reshuffle, it was announced that you would be leading the campaign in the next Scottish elections, at least masterminding the campaign for Holyrood 26. Is that still the plan, by the way? Let me ask that first.
Yeah, leading the campaign, I'm afraid, is a bit of a grade inflation in terms of my role. I'll be working with Jackie Baillie, the two co-chairs of the campaign,
Right.
and Jackie and I will be working to support Anas. But Anas will be in the lead, as you would expect.
Well, yeah, and he's, when you guys took power, you were on 35% of the vote, and now, according to one poll last week, you're on 17%. How do you get back the half of your vote share that you've lost over the last 15 months in less than 8 months?
Well, respectfully, we were written off in the Hamilton, Larkhall and Stonehouse by-election with very similar arguments. You were dead in the water before you'd begun, according to the Scottish media. And we will come back in Scotland the way that we came back in Hamilton, by hard work, by humility, by listening to people, doing the work on the ground, making the arguments directly to the public. I have a sense that the Scottish people are way more ambitious than the Scottish Government today. When you're on a doorstep and you say to an SNP supporter, can you name a single example of Scottish public life where things have got better in the last 20 years rather than worse?
Scottish Greens. Excuse me. Douglas, we exist. Hello. Do not do not tempt aside. Trust me on that. Oh, no problem, King. Self-care is good care. Stay hydrated. Take your meds. Stay based. Catch you later. Bye. Oi, Douglas, Scottish Greens. We're coming for all the Labour in Holyrood. Trust me on that. Plus possibly some SNP seats as well. We will see. We are formulating. And I'm going, excuse me, I'm going to try my best to help in any way I can. That's why I'm going to be attending the conference this year. I couldn't last year, I wasn't feeling too good.
I'll wait. Health, ferries, education.
Yeah.
You choose. They can't answer the question.
I'm just
so
looking
our
at
responsibility in the coming months is to do what we did just a couple of weeks ago in Barrhead, do what we did a couple of months ago in Hamilton, which is to take our case to the Scottish public and then disprove the critics and the cynics.
You're telling me what you're hearing on the doorstep. I'm telling you what I'm seeing in the polls, and that suggests that your support has collapsed. Also, I looked at Ballot Box Scotland this week, and they were kind of extrapolating some of these polls and suggesting that the SNP now are only 3 or 4 seats away from a majority at Holyrood. If they get that, They say that is a mandate for another independence referendum. Is it?
So to continue the earlier football
Do not
analogy,
give us
Martin,
one.
I'm not really going to engage in
Martin,
post-match
you know that.
analysis when the game hasn't even begun, never mind finished.
But
I'm
it
not
is
really
quite, and
interested
they're saying
in
very specifically,
anticipating our defeat as Scottish Labour. I'm way more interested in contributing to Scottish Labour's victory.
Okay,
And that's what each and every one of my colleagues as Scottish representatives at Westminster for the Labour Party, and indeed my friends and colleagues in Holyrood, are determined to be doing in the months between now and May.
The Prime Minister has ruled this out. He said, I'm not interested in referendums at the moment. Whatever happens, doesn't matter. You're not getting one after the next election. I paraphrase, but that's the message. Is he right? Is that where you are on this?
Forgive me, I just lost you for a second in terms of the question. Could you repeat the question?
Yeah, I was saying Sir Keir Starmer has been reasonably clear on this. He said it doesn't matter what happens at the election. I'm not interested in referendums. It's not a priority, and you're not getting one after the election next year. Is he right on that? Is that...
I suspect he is correct that he would do it. I'm going to keep on saying this. I don't think they're going to give us another referendum, no matter what we fucking do. Even if we boot out every last fucking unionist, both in Holyrood and in Westminster, we'll still not get a fucking referendum again. We won't. I do not see it happening. We're going to have to use other means. Like I keep on jokingly saying in everyone's chat, I will dig the trench myself if need be. I will go down to the border with my fucking trusty shovel and fucking dig us apart. I will give a call to action to any Scots living down there, the other side of the border. Come back up now, unless you learn how to swim or build a bridge across. I'll dig the trench myself if I need to. Especially if Manfrog gets into number 10. Just fucking don't do that to us, please. I beg of you.
Broadly speaking, where you are on this?
Honestly, when Keir was in Glasgow this week confirming shipbuilding in the Clyde for 15 years and he was asked that question, I think he was speaking for many and many of us right across Scotland, east, west, north, south, who really don't see independence as a priority. When I saw yet another document on independence produced by the Scottish Government in recent days, I thought this is really a core vote strategy from a party that doesn't want to talk about health, about education, about ferries, about justice, about tragically...
Best performing NHS in the UK. Don't get me wrong, there is still issues, but best performing NHS. Thank you. Ran over. They see attack dog already fucking started.
Drug deaths, issue after issue, they've got nothing to say, and so they're trying to change the conversation back to their obsession with the Constitution.
That the majority of Scots do favour independence, at least at some point in the future. Let me ask you a question. Virtually every senior unionist politician I've had on this programme, I've asked this question too. Let me try it out with you. And just in a word, answer the first part of this question, if you would. Is the union that we are in a voluntary union?
That was shown in 2014 when, in a free, fair election, 84.7% of the Scottish electorate, if I recollect, it's certainly in the
You're not answering the
mid-80s,
question. It's a yes or no
chose
answer.
in the largest ever franchise in Scottish and UK history to choose by a clear 10-point difference to stay within the United Kingdom.
You're telling me about something that happened 11 years
because millions of my fellow Scots believed you bastards. I didn't trust you at all. And Alistair Darling can fuck off. Better together, my fucking arse. And where's the rest of the stuff that the Smith Commission fucking suggested? You never done them either, did you? Said if you do all this, we'll get the, and if you get the independence, you won't be able to join. You have to join the union. Blah blah blah. You'll be able to stay in Europe. Ah, thanks. Didn't fucking believe yous. I told my family members, I told friends, I told people in the pub. I had family members vote to remain, to stay part of the union. Two of them are regretting it now. Said, what have we done to ourselves? We had this chance. I said this. It's a very close family member voted to remain part of the union. I do make appeals every now and again. With any luck, this family member will leave the Labour Party. With any luck. But no, I told you all. Do not fucking trust them. I hated it getting proven right. I hated it. Don't get me wrong, friends and family members who voted better together, they've all roughly said to me, we should have just fucking listened to you, Katie. Funny that. Someone on the left being correct yet again. And I done it last year saying don't fucking trust them, and Glasgow went for actual Labour. Case in point, the polls that Martin's bringing up. No, we're not better.
Years ago, I'm asking you now: is this union voluntary, or is Scotland locked into it?
And the constitutional framework that was in place in 2014 remains in place today. There was a choice, we made our choice, and frankly, those who argue the case for independence, it's up to them to explain their case. We're still waiting for answers on pensions, on currency, on any number of issues. Frankly, as Scottish Labour, we're going to be getting on.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare. You unionist bastards in Holyrood voted down a lot of that shit that we were promoting, that we wanted to do, but you didn't let us have it. And people within the SNP, they felt a little bit, well, we don't have enough people across the chamber. We had the majority, we could have got it through, but because they fucking scuppered shit in Holyrood for certain things. So no, don't you dare.
On with the job.
It's not up to you to decide whether the case is right or not. It's up to the electorate. I'm asking you whether, if this is a voluntary union, what the democratic route out of that is now, 11 years after the last referendum.
Martin, if you say it's up to the polls, you're right. We were just talking about the polls. Look at the salience of independence in the opinion polls. Even when some of the headline horse race numbers are difficult for Scottish Labour, independence is coming down the agenda, not going up the agenda.
50,
and that's,
51,
I sense, because people are just so wearied of hearing from ministers who should be sorting the health service. 1 in 6 of us are on waiting lists in Scotland, 100,000 on waiting lists for more than a year, who should be sorting out the education system. I'm an incredibly proud product of the Scottish state education system, but standards have got worse, not better, over the last 20 years. They should be getting on with the basics rather than spending their time trying to change the conversation and have a different argument. They're entitled to it, but I don't think it'll work for them.
What I'm hearing from you is we are absolutely tied into this union then for the time being. For how long?
Well, the Scottish people ultimately can make their choice in the Holyrood elections in 2026 as to whether they want a party that is dedicated to independence but has abjectly failed to govern the country well, or whether they can have a new direction with the Scottish Labour Party. I'm going to spend my time making the case that it's time for a new direction. I feel it's time for this Scottish Government to be put out of its misery. If they haven't been able to sort Scotland's problems in 20 years, I frankly doubt they're going to do it in their 3rd decade in power. But that's democracy. We'll make our case, and it'll be for the Scottish people to decide.
All right, look, there's lots to discuss. It's less than 8 months away. 8 months yesterday, that election. We will speak, I'm sure, between now and then, probably more than once. But for now, Douglas Alexander, new Secretary of State for Scotland, thank you very much indeed for being with us.
Thanks, Martin.
Right, I'm going to be speaking to Reform UK's Thomas Kerr shortly, but first, Andrew Black has joined me in the studio to tell me what's coming up on the radio shortly.
Hi, Martin.
Hello.
Yeah, well, we're going to be talking about universities today. Staff at 2 Scottish unis are going out on strike in the coming week. It's about job cuts, potentially budget cuts as well. So the fundamental question really is how sustainable financially are our universities. So we're going to be putting that question to the Scottish Government's Higher Education Minister, who will be joining us on the programme. And we're also going to be looking at the reshuffle as well. So as you've been discussing, Ian Murray got booted out of the Scotland office on Friday. That seemed to cause a level of upset among Scottish Labour Party members.
I understand that's an understatement.
Yeah. And so I got into work this morning, and lo and behold, he's back in government, but he's been given 2 junior ministerial jobs, but not in the cabinet. So we're going to delve into that a bit more. And we're also going to hear from the organisation that represents oil and gas companies. They say that they want more to be done, more exploration done in the North Sea to try and reduce our reliance on imports. But all this has come at the time when Kemi Badenoch is wanting to drill the North Sea dry, as she puts it, and also that ongoing debate about whether net zero targets are worth it, and also these concerns that we need to be moving towards green energy to cut carbon emissions.
All right, well, listen, you better scoot. That's a lot that's coming up, and you're on air in 9 minutes, so we'll hear from you then. Andrew Black, thank you very much indeed. Right, Reform UK held their party conference in Birmingham over the past couple of days. A busy bar by all accounts, but observers also suggesting the whole thing just felt big, slick, glossy, well organised. That's not the way it used to be with Nigel Farage's political vehicles, is it? But he is preparing for government now, he says. And a quick look at the polls suggests he is quite possibly right to do so. He reckons he could be in Downing Street in a couple of years. But he's still working out his party's policies and looking for people to become politicians. So are they ready for all of this? Let's go to Birmingham and ask Reform's Glasgow councillor Thomas Kerr. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Martin.
Good to see you. Thanks very much indeed for being with us. Good conference?
It was brilliant, fantastic, a real buzz around the conference. It's my first Reform conference, so it's not very often I'm at a conference where there's huge excitement that was going on, and we were seeing that in Birmingham this weekend, so it's been fantastic.
You're celebrating a bit early though, aren't you? This is the easy bit. At some point you're going to have to come up with the policies that carry you to Downing Street.
And I don't really think it's about celebrating, it's about trying to see that this is a party that's on the rise. It's about trying to show people that we are a government that's starting to prepare for going into power in a couple of years' time, because I think that what we...
You might be shielded because you're a councillor, but your leader, the head of your party, I'm pretty damn sure if he got into power, he would try to dissolve Holyrood. Try to dissolve all the separate administrations. I'm pretty sure of it. Of course, we won't let that happen. I won't let that happen. Try to shut down Holyrood. Come and have a go if you think you're hard enough. We know how that went in the past when you came up here. Feel free to try it, Nigel. Seriously, see what happens. You really don't want a mob of angry, pissed off Scottish people coming down and annoying you. Mark my words, he will try to dissolve Holyrood and Stormont and the Senate. Pretty sure of it.
We've seen over the past couple of days as Labour is collapsing, the SNP are going down as well. Reform is the only party across the UK and here in Scotland that is surging. So I think what we're showing people is that we are upbeat, we are happy, we are looking towards the future, and we're coming up with the plans that the country needs.
Right. I mean, are you though? Because I heard Richard Tice being interviewed on the Today programme by Nick Robinson the other day, and he got quite tetchy when he was asked about policies. Nick went back to your manifesto, or your contract that you called it, from the election 15 months ago, and it seems that really substantial aspects of that, really important public spending promises and so on, have been ditched. Where are you with coming up with replacements for all that?
Well, there is currently plans coming out. So we've seen Nigel announce obviously the mass deportation plans that are coming out. We're still 4 years away from an election. I know Nigel thinks it could be sooner, but in legislation we're still 4 years away from an election. The fact we're starting to come out with these policies, I think, shows that the party's already started to move towards looking towards government. So there is a busy team working in London to make sure the plans are all in place. In Scotland, I've got a really important job working alongside Graham Simpson.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? There's no office up here for them yet in Scotland, anywhere. They did have one here in Glasgow. Got closed down. Get right. So, as of time of streaming, no office here in Scotland yet for Reform. If they want to challenge and try to get elected into Holyrood, they're going to have to fucking set up an office again before May. Christ, before New Year, I would think. Oh, What is that? Give me a minute, everyone. I just got a thing from Jimmy the Giant. Just posted something. Do 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 do. That was a lot. Bro, this is mad. Holy fuck! Jimmy the Giant has just posted a message on his channel on YouTube. If anyone's interested, and it looks fascinating.
And other people inside the party to make sure we have a policy platform from next year. So the work is taking place. You might not see it in face-to-face. I'm not going to write it here with you this morning, Martin, but it all is taking place behind the scenes. So when people have a chance to vote, they will see what reform stands for and where our values are.
Let's look at that mass deportation policy. I spoke to Graham Simpson about it, actually, the day he joined Reform, and asked him if he knew how it was going to work. And he didn't, quite frankly. But, I mean, let's give him some slack. He'd only been in the party for about an hour and a half by that point. You've been in a fair bit longer. Do you know how it's going to work? 600,000 people deported over 5 years is quite the promise. How's that going to happen?
It's not just it's ambitious to make sure that we're showing the country that we're tackling the huge issues that the country's facing. What Nigel has set out is a clear plan to make sure that we are going to have deportation centres, that anybody who comes in a small boat is deported straight away. We will have deals in place to make sure that people are sent back to their countries of origin. This has to happen, Martin. It's not an if or a but. All governments have to start taking this issue seriously, because we're seeing right across Scotland, not just across the UK, that immigration has now become one of the biggest issues that people are talking about, so it has to happen. So the plans are there. Nigel set it out in detail as to what it is he wants to do. We're still 4 years away from that taking place, but I'm very, very confident that that plan will make sure the boats stop and that people will start to respect our borders.
Yeah, I mean, there is some meat on these bones now. Zia Youssef, your party chair, talking about, he's called the department UK Deportation Command. And the motto is, they will find you, detain you, deport you, he says. This has got really heavy echoes of what's happening in the States at the moment. And a lot of people, Thomas Kerr, just think that is basically quite cruel and very dark.
A lot of people might, but a lot of people disagree with that analysis as well, Martin. We've seen a poll that came out last week that showed that in Scotland, immigration is now one of the third highest issues that people are talking about. This is something that the country just cannot sustain. If you look at my city in Glasgow, where I'll be heading back to this evening, when you look at places like Glasgow, we are at breaking point in terms of our housing crisis, the number of asylum seekers that are coming. So I get that some people might be unhappy with some of the language, but the party and the country cannot get to grips with this issue, because the public are asking us to.
But let's look at your city of Glasgow. You don't have to look too far back in Glasgow's recent history to see what happens when immigration officers go and knock on the door of people and say, right, you're coming with us, you're collared. That happened in Kenmure Street, didn't it, 2 or 3 years ago? And before you know it, there's a couple of thousand people sitting on the street.
Not to give away my location, but that is, other than myself, that is within walking distance of me. I'd get a bus trip. But yeah, that's close to me. I wanted to go to it, but health reasons. Yeah. They didn't need me there, obviously. There was lots of people at it.
Locking in the police vans, and the immigration officers had to leave with their tails between their legs, empty-handed. And do you know what? A lot of people up here, Thomas Kerr, take a great deal of pride in the fact that that happened. If you implement this policy with that same methodology, how's it going to end up here?
So I'm not convinced, Martin, that if we've seen an issue like Kenmure Street, that would happen. Now, I think the public's attitude in Glasgow...
Yes, it will.
You think those people who sat down in that street have changed their minds about immigration?
You will always have people who are left-wing activists who will try and disrupt this sort of stuff. That's exactly what happens in a democracy. But I am not convinced that the vast majority of the public would not want us to try and make sure that we are tackling the issue of illegal migration and those who should not be in the country. So I'm not convinced we would see the situation that you've seen in Kenmure Street. But even if we did, the police would have to have the resources to make sure we tackled that, because the public are crying out for action to be taking place. Only Reform are the people who are coming up with a plan. As you say, we have the mass deportation plan that Nigel's put in place. We'll put that to the public, and we're the only ones speaking about this issue. Every other party is now following us, but we're the only one who have a clear plan on it.
How far back do you go with people who you are going to deport? There are people who've been here 20 years who are wonderfully integrated into their neighbourhoods, friends of people, just quite happily getting on with their lives. Do they get a knock on the door?
Well, there's a timescale that the party will have to look at when Nigel becomes Prime Minister. What he's made very clear is that the boats would stop immediately.
Yes,
Anybody who
he
comes to the
becomes
country
Prime
illegally
Minister.
would be deported straight away. And our priority for the first 5 years would be to make sure that fighting age working men who are in the country illegally would be the first people that we would look
Why
at.
do you
So
always use
there
that
is a-
phrase, fighting age? That's something you've been told to say, I'm sure, because everybody in your party uses that. What's
It's not
fighting
a-
got
Martin,
to do with anything,
Martin,
Thomas
you know
Carr?
me well enough. I don't do anything I ever get told, so that's
All
part
right,
of the reason I always
you
get
just
in trouble.
happen to have alighted on the
Just-
same two
look,
words as
it
everybody else.
happens to be the
What's-
case that
what's
what we're
fighting
seeing in
got
the
to do with it?
country, we're happy to see that what we're seeing in the country is that it's a predominance of young men who are leaving France. Let's forget, these are not people who are getting on boats in Afghanistan and coming here. These are people who are leaving safe countries in Europe to come to Britain. So we need to make sure we're tackling that issue. Reform is the only people who have put out a plan to do that. We're speaking to the mood of the country. I can feel it myself when I'm out in the streets of Glasgow now. People feel as if the city is at breaking point. We cannot continue the way that we're going.
Okay. There's one other question before we let you
wasn't
go,
a
because we are
policy
fast
of a
running out of time.
waiver.
You're in danger
what
of
your
really
leader
seriously
is
splitting
saying.
the unionist vote up here,
Not
aren't you? And
that.
the way that the Holyrood electoral system works means that is an absolute gift for the SNP. I was talking to Douglas Alexander just a couple of minutes ago about polling that suggests they are not far away from a majority at Holyrood next year. How do you feel about that? They must be delighted at the inroads you're making.
The
quietly.
only people who are now splitting the vote in Scotland is the Tories and Labour, who are not stepping aside for reform. The only party that is on the rise in Scotland is Reform UK. The poll that came out last week showed we are joint second place with Labour in terms of Holyrood, but we're 4 points ahead of them when it comes to a Westminster election. The Tories are nowhere to be seen. If they'd stepped aside in Hamilton, for goodness sake, Ross Lambie would have been an MSP. So these people are the ones who are splitting the vote. I'm not going to sit here and try and defend what other parties should be doing. We are firmly behind the United Kingdom. I'm a passionate unionist. I think that we have the vision and the ideas to take on the SNP and to make sure we can defeat John Swinney.
Okay.
And I would urge all unionists to unite behind Reform UK.
All right, Thomas Carr, again, just under 8 months to go. You've got a busy time ahead of you. I'm sure we will be speaking to you as well, much more between now and then. Thank you very much indeed for being on the Sunday show with us this morning. That is where I leave you. We're back in the normal place at the normal time, 10 o'clock next week on BBC One and on Radio Scotland. If you're with us on the telly, we'll see you later. If you're with us on the radio, here's Andrew Black.
Thank you, Martin. Oh, fuck. Shall we? Oh! Exactly, Miss Hire. Rejoice, comrades. Miss Hire is here. Hi, darling. Great to see you. Did you like the stream title? I do so miss my Brummy comrade. I hope he feels better for tomorrow. Oh, today. It is technically Tuesday now. Oh, fucking hell, let's get this over and oh, no. Ah. Analysis from Scottish women this time instead of Brummie and Nottinghamshire. So, Scottish slant, if you wish. She is Scottish after all, apparently. Let's get this over with.
What is Newscast?
There's a simple answer. It's about the news and it's a podcast.
Go away.
Out she goes. And in they come. 12 new cabinet jobs. But are they Starmer's determined or maybe desperate dozen? Can the reboot resurrect Labour's fortunes and spoil his fun? At the first of this season's political party conferences, Nigel Farage has told us he can't yet say how he'd run the country because his team don't yet have the know-how.
That is our biggest weakness. You can ask me lots of questions about policy and personnel and all the rest of it. But if you ask me, how are you going to do this?
Reezer? I will say Reezer. Welcome, thank you for the follow. Ray. Hello, Ray. I'm MadCat79 Scotty Eye, a Scottish disabled Marxist streamer. I talk about politics, health and disability issues, as well as some history. Hello, welcome. Laura Koonsberg. Look, Man Frog. So this was Sunday. at 9 a.m. We've just done the Scottish version, which is at 10 a.m. on Sundays, and it's only on for half an hour. So we had Douglas Alexander, the new Scottish secretary down in London, trying to get rid of these fucking bastards. And that Martin Geithner talked to Douglas Alexander and a Reform councillor for here in Glasgow, Thomas Kerr. He is a wank. He used to be Tory, but he's joined Reform now. Delightful.
I can't really give you an answer because I haven't got anybody in the senior team that's ever been there before.
To tell us more about Labour's new senior team, John Healey, the Defence Secretary, is with us alongside the Conservative leader, Kemi Badenoch. And watching all of this from the north of England, another of the Labour Party's big beasts, Andy Burnham, the Mayor of Greater Manchester, does he think this is a refresh to impress? And our team at the desk for the next hour this week, there's nothing like a Dane. Emily Thornberry's here. Lord Michael Gove, now editor of The Spectator, who's been shuffled a few.
Fuck's sake. This in the middle is a political fucking dinosaur. Scottish as well, fucking hell. He was adopted. Rejoice, comrades. Sozzled Snake is here. Hi, Sozzled. Look, Koensberg again. Scottish slant this time. Hello. So I will put my own Scottish spin onto what these idiots are saying, or ghouls, blah blah blah. Obviously ghouls, Manfrog and Kemi. And John Healey. Welcome in, Sozzled. Great to see you, as always. The 27 Club, that's David, he is awesome. We've got Beth, that's Pickle B. Thank you, Sozzled. Rejoice. Miss Hire, you have been rescued from Ad Hell. Yeah, Bad Enoch. Brilliant. Don't worry, we'll demolish her. Enjoy your month, Miss Hire.
Times himself, and actor, observer of politics here and across the Atlantic, Brian Cox.
A Londonian. Not that he lives in Dundee anymore.
Morning, and
yes, he was adopted and he was raised in Aberdeen. He went to Robert Gordon. He went to PPing school there as well. Yeah, so yes, he's technically Scottish. He doesn't sound Doric, obviously. My uncle sounds Doric. He moved up to Aberdeen when he was 17 years old. He escaped Perth, apparently. Fair enough, uncle. And he speaks very Doric. My mother and I can decode my uncle. His own mother struggled to understand him. Poor granny. His wife, she was born and brought up there. Her accent's thicker than his. Oh, what the... Oh, Nightbot. You're annoying me. Go away. Yes, some trans flags to annoy Kemi. Good. Yeah, well, he said that it's a running joke in the family. I love my home city. I used to say when I first moved down that I escaped Perth because it was a dead end place. It isn't. Trust me, it isn't. Perth is brilliant. There's lots of stuff happening in Perth. I love Perth. It is amazing. It did have city status, then it got revoked a couple of centuries ago. We were the capital. Let battle commence, Sozzled. She is Scottish, technically she's Glaswegian. Holy fuck. Oh? Oh god, I love that Kev one so much. in lieu of not having Kev. Spam his emote, if you wish.
Welcome back. Let's start, as we always do, with what's making the news this Sunday morning. There is a striking, if sombre-looking Angela Rayner on the front of the Observer after her departure. The Sunday Telegraph and the Sunday Times both splash on the government's intention to move faster on tackling immigration. There's huge expectation on the new Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood. Nadine Dorries, former Conservative, now Reform Party backer, calls on her old friend.
That is a hell of a headline from the Mail on Sunday. Do not bring back that. Do you have family in Perth? Oh, Australia. Please, please do not rehabilitate Boris. Just leave him the fuck alone. It was bad enough when he was in Parliament. We didn't need him back. Just Mail on Sunday. Just piss off. Thank you. Christ's sake. Well done, Sozzled.
Boris Johnson to get together with Nigel Farage to crush Labour. Soapland makes the front of the tabloids with the sacking of EastEnders star Jamie Borthwick. And here is the scene live in the Ukrainian capital, Kyiv. We can see the aftermath of the latest attack overnight by Russian drones, hitting for the first time Ukrainian government buildings in the heart of the city. It has been, though, the three of you, quite the first week back in this political season. You're a senior voice in the Labour Party, Emily Thornberry. Do you think this is the reset of this new cabinet that Keir Starmer was hoping to achieve all along?
Well, it's such a mixed picture, isn't it? I mean, we're doing so well internationally, and our standing is so much higher. We're back on the international scene. But domestically, things just don't seem to be working. I mean, there are things that we're doing which are fantastic, but nobody seems to know about it. You know, the highest wage growth, you know, building.
In case he can't hear me, Boris, stay the fuck away. Thank you. Correct, so correct, Sozzled. Please, please, I beg of you, do not vote in fucking Farage into number 10. I've said this, I'll keep on saying it until I have to actually fucking do it. I will dig the trench myself. I will make a call out just now. People, Scottish people, or people, anyone who is leftist, or just basically want to escape if you're sort of soft left or centrist. If you don't like that and want to move up here, if you actually get into number 10, you can help me dig the trench ourselves.
Some homes, you know, having actually investing in green energy. All of these sorts of things are brilliant achievements. Nobody seems to be hearing about that. They hear about the mistakes. And the question is, why are we making these mistakes? We can't afford to keep doing this because we've gone from having the fantastic gift from the British.
She does have a lovely voice, I must admit that.
Public of a huge majority to now being at 20% in the polls. And we will have, in the next election, I think, the biggest fight of our lives coming, you know, which is against Farage. And the last thing we want is to go from a position where it was thought we would be in for 2 terms to hand our country over to Farage.
And we'll have more time to get into this later on, but if
you're making it too fucking easy for him. And if it looks like you're going to be, if the polls are going to look like that, we're just going to fucking rebel and bring back in the SNP to actually deal with his BS as fucking Prime Minister. And I'll dig a trench. We've got parliaments that we haven't voted for, essentially, prime ministers and parties that we've literally, Scotland up here never voted for. We never became second, third and fourth, third mostly in history from about me being born, essentially, for the last 46 fucking years. We've had governments foisted upon us. No surprise we fucking rebelled and booted nearly all of yous out. That's why there was only 3 of yous, one from each of the unionist parties back then. So we had Murray, Edinburgh South, Alistair Carmichael, Orkney and Shetland. I can't remember. It was the one down, but Alistair Jack. That was it. Those three. That was it. The rest of you got fucking booted. It's going to be worse. We're just going to kick the lot of yous out, and it'll be all SNP again for all of the seats for Westminster. If you voice fucking Farage on us and his merry band of fucking lunatics. I hope I get proven correct in that if that happens. Please, I fucking beg of you. Don't vote in fucking reform. Next year will be a test. It'll be a good good way of gauging shit, obviously, up here in Holyrood and down in the Senate. Oh god. The polls for the Senate aren't looking good. Specs. Are you still here, Specs? I might actually task Specs with reminding me about the polls, get our lovely Welsh format to check the polls for me. Maybe you could post them in the Discord. I'd like that. I will reach out to Specs Bean Farmer to see if he can help me get the polls on a semi-regular basis in the lead up to the Senate elections next year. Oh, I'm of the same mind. That's why campaigning and good policy platforms is going to be essential for the SNP and Scottish Greens. Scottish Greens, we are working on it. Don't you worry. We're going to do a good policy platform for Holyrood next year. Currently getting formulated, I would assume, by the upper party management, really. Who we just voted it? My lovely ginger twink. Ross Greer and Gillian Mackay are now the co-leaders of Scottish Greens. Yay. I love Ross so much. He's going to be good. He's going to get out there and campaign. Bring it.
If you could sum up in a sentence what you think the mistakes represent, what is it?
I think it's not listening. I think it's not listening to people of goodwill who want the party to succeed. I think we need to do more of that because I think that the answers are out there, but I think that we need to continue to listen and learn from the public.
Brian, watching this as an observer and an outsider to Westminster, but someone takes a keen interest, how damaging do you think the Angela Rayner tax saga has been for people?
Well, I think they've milked it for all it's worth, you know, and a lot of name calling that's going on. I'm fed up with the name calling, quite honestly.
We've still got Ash Regan. She's still an MSP. I can't remember who. That's the only one I can think of that's actually in Holyrood. They're largely irrelevant now. I don't know how. Give me a minute. I'll need to lose use for a second of my phone. Give me a minute. Oh, no, still no. 2 days before my birthday. Yeah. Alpha. Edinburgh Eastern. Is that what it was? Oh. Hello, Ash Regan. She's from Biggar in Lanarkshire. Shandy Keel. Huh. And OU. Keel's down in Devon. Oh, Commonweal. Yeah, there's Ash Regan, so she's still an MSP for Edinburgh Eastern. Thank you, Ash Regan. As far as I'm aware, I think she's the only one that's actually in Holyrood, I believe. You said something puzzled. Give me a second till I get back in the chat. Do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do. Oh, no, Miss Hires in Birmingham. How is the How is the Rodentia doing, Miss Hire? I hope you aren't getting bothered by stupid flag idiots. Watch out for the fans.
Of both parties. I mean, I both Conservative and Labour. I wish they'd stop it, and I wish they'd get some sense of proportion. I think Angela's situation is actually truly tragic, because she did report herself. She did do it all. Also, stamp duty. I mean, I have not a foggiest about stamp duty and what the hell you do about it and what levels you're at. So I mean, and also she was dealing with something.
And if you were here earlier, guarding the latest Banksy on the side of the Court of Justice, with those corrugated iron sheets and hiding it behind shit. So making sure no one sees a Banksy and arresting protesters, as far as I'm aware. It's what's getting reported on. Oh dear God. I feel for you, darling, I really do. Just why? Just no, fuck off. Has there been any more Danish flags painted on anything? So fucking ridiculous. That doesn't happen up here, by the way. We've got the Union flag flying over the council and over Holyrood, obviously, plus the saltire. And on one of our hospitals, the Glasgow Royal Infirmary, we've got the Progress flag. That was flying during Pride on top of the old building, the oldest part of the Royal. That was a sight to behold. I pity for the poor bastard that had to put that flag up, because that building's fucking tall.
Very particular at that time, which was the Grenfell. What she was doing with Grenfell, she was seeing the family, she was beginning to, she was the one who's instituted the whole thing of taking it down finally, which has taken a while. I mean, you had a few problems with that, I know.
Certainly.
And I think that's, I think it's a really tragic situation. Also, from the left's point of view, she was very important. She was very important in that.
There has been some sympathy for Angela Rayner, but also frustration inside the Labour Party that she did make, by her own admission, mistakes, Michael Gove. Who do you think profits more from this pain for Labour? The Reform Party? Or could the Conservatives turn this to their advantage?
Well, it was certainly the case that Kemi Badenoch and the Conservatives made the principal running on the issue. So as the story developed, it was the Conservatives who were harrying, in a way that obviously Brian disapproves of, but in the feral world of politics, it was the Conservative attack team that were generating news stories all the time. There is a risk, however, for both Conservative and Labour that the conclusion that people will draw from this affair is that the established parties are in it for themselves.
And of course, that's one of Nigel Farage's main arguments, is that essentially they're the same, they're as bad as each other and sort of co-conspirators.
I have no problem with that. My sister has it's a little charm that she's got on her bag, so it's like she hooked it onto the zip part, no, the pull part. So she's got a little Ukraine flag on it. She only uses that when she goes out and about, when she's doing her normal day-to-day stuff, not when she goes to work. She's a community nurse, so she has a big fuck off bag that she takes with her when she goes out, and she does nothing on that. Lots of little goodies in her work bag, as you can guess, because community nurse. She has to use her actual car. She gets mileage for it. Is it covered? I think part of her premiums are covered by the trust, and she pays another part. And she gets some mileage back, some of her mileage. I don't know how much mileage she gets back actually. And she's got a card that she can use to get petrol and stuff. It's a petrol car she uses. It's a petrol crash.
Two parties in a same rotten system.
Well, that is reform's principal goal, really. The country at the moment is divided between those people who think that it's vitally important that we improve our institutions and a section of the population that actually thinks that our institutions should be torn down because they're basically not working. It's not just reform, however, that is speaking to that constituency. It's also the Jeremy Corbyn, Zara Sultana new party on the hard left, and of course Zach Polanski, the new leader of the Greens. I don't think I agree with him on a single thing, but he's a powerfully charismatic figure.
Okay, all three of you, we'll be back with you later in the show. Thank you for getting us started today. Well, if it had all gone swimmingly in year one, well, Keir Starmer wouldn't have made so many changes to get ready for year two. 12 cabinet jobs have got different people doing of them now, but many of them are swapping seats. There hasn't necessarily been a huge number of people leaving and a huge number of new people turning up. Only 3 people have actually left the cabinet altogether. One of them who's in the same job, though, is John Healey, the Defence Secretary, who joins us again in the studio this morning. Thank you very much indeed for coming in. There have now been 5 Labour ministers who've had to resign over various mistakes or their own behaviour. Aren't voters and viewers this morning entitled to feel very let down by the Labour Party, who repeatedly promised there would be no more chaos, no more sleaze, no more of this kind of bad behaviour?
So these sort of things are part and parcel of government. It isn't whether they happen, it's how a Prime Minister and a government deals with them. And I think we've seen this week clear, swift, fair action. We've seen a tighter system that Keir Starmer introduced, including an independent ethics advisor that judged Angela Rayner had broken the ministerial code, and that's why she resigned. And that's a contrast to what you invite me to draw from the previous Conservative time, when you actually saw the ethics advisor saying that ministers have broken the code. You had Boris Johnson as Prime Minister, leading to the resignation of the ethics advisor and not the ministers.
But the point here, Secretary of State, is actually Keir Starmer told us repeatedly for several years that these things would not happen under Labour. And the public thinks that things have been going really wrong more broadly. Your approval rating overall is now at -59. I think we can show our viewers how that has changed. And you've ended up with this chunky reshuffle, 12 moves in cabinet. What is it that you think has been going wrong that has left you with 70% of the public
Right, let's just look at this. I want to know who the 11% are. Seriously, are people really too? Which means that's 19. There's 19% missing somewhere. But look at that, 70% disapprove. Do we see that getting brought back? I am doubtful. Yeah, lol. Oh dear God, look at it. Look at it. Right, let's see. Was 6 months in October, January. Here's 6 months in. So the approval rating was 18, 19. Disapprove was 58, 59. I would say that's about 60, 69. Noise. Look at it. They recovered some. A little bit. They went back up again.
disapproving of what you do?
So what you've seen this week is Keir Starmer having put in place and insisting on, and Angela Rayner respecting and recognising the sort of standards in public life that the public have a right to expect.
But what do you think's gone wrong?
So what's been going on in this last year has been a new government coming in, and from day one having to deal with the fact we had the previous government crashing the economy.
Rejoice, comrades! Elron Hubbard has arrived. Hi, Elron. Great to see you. How goes the battle? Police involved now. As always, if you want to, of course, no pressure. Keep me updated. I want to know how you get on getting rid of her. Neither of us like Eldon's MP.
Economy, wrecking the NHS, hollowing out the armed forces. So it's been a year of starting to sort out the mess and put in place the basis to rebuild from there. And this reshuffle then is Keir Starmer resetting his team and saying to each and every one of us, you've got to go up a gear, you've got to deliver, and our job to deliver is to demonstrate to people that we can, as government, help change their lives,
So
make them feel better off and make them feel more secure.
So he has told you all expressly, pull your socks up. It's your fault. The Cabinet's not been performing well enough.
So it's delivery, it's delivery, it's delivery, and he's got a team now in place in the positions that he wants to be able to build on the progress that's been made, some real progress that I'm actually proud to have been part of.
But it's interesting
in this first year of a Labour government. But a lot of things still to sort out.
But it's interesting, listening to Emily Thornberry, she says what's gone wrong is that you haven't been listening. You haven't been listening to people in the Labour Party who wish you well.
Thank you, Sogold. A pleasure, as always. Stay hydrated. Self-care is good care. Take your meds if you're on any. Stay based. Catch you later, son. Bye, Sogold. No.
Well, perhaps those MPs who for weeks and weeks were saying about the welfare changes, for example, we can't do this, it's too punitive, change course. And Keir Starmer and ministers like you for a long time didn't change course and you weren't listening. What do you say to that?
The most important thing for any government is to listen to the voters, listen to the people who give us their faith and put us in Parliament, in government in the first place. And look, I'm proud of the fact that we have reflected the priority that people have to the NHS, 4 million more appointments in this first year, waiting lists now falling. I'm proud of the fact that we've given a boost to 3 million low-paid workers with the living wage. I'm proud of the fact we've extended free school meals to 500,000 children now. I'm proud of the fact that as Defence Secretary, I've given the Armed Forces the largest pay increase for 20 years, and as a government, we're now increasing defence spending by the biggest amount since the end of the Cold War because we have to meet the threats that we're now facing.
It is very plain, though, that there is a lot of concern in your own party about how things are going. And just before we came on air, we spoke to a familiar face to many of our viewers, Andy Barnum, the Mayor of Greater Manchester, and we can listen to what he told us a while ago.
There isn't kind to people with accents. I've kind of felt that, and lots of other people I know. But if I compare the treatment I had, and I see what Angela's had to put up with over the years, I mean, she's just had, something of a much higher level, and it's for the crime of being a northern working class woman. It says something really troubling, I think, Laura, about the political culture in this country and the way Westminster works. Are you worried that the new look cabinet doesn't include the right balance of people? I am concerned about the balance. And I think, we need to use the deputy leadership contest to discuss some of these things. Actually, not a running commentary on what the government's doing. I think we need to recognise that having a leadership contest for the deputy leader in a period of government, you don't want everything sort of opened up on what the government's doing. But I think it is right to have a discussion about the internal management of the Labour Party. And in a time where the scale and the nature of the challenge we face is such as it is, you need everybody pulling together, all parts of the party pulling together. And that points to a party management style that is less factional and more pluralistic. Labour MPs need to listen to them more and respect them more. They were the ones who, if you like, caused the change in terms of winter fuel and disability benefits. But they shouldn't be punished for that. I see good people, good MPs losing the whip, people like Rachel Maskell. That doesn't seem fair to me. It didn't happen in the governments I was in Gordon Brown's government or Tony Blair's government. You know, we need a different style here so that everyone is included and we pull together.
Do you think Keir Starmer and his team are too thin-skinned then? They can't hack the criticism?
I understand that, but I think at times it's gone too far. And as I say, I would like to see our MPs respected more. That is the debate we should have during the deputy leadership contest.
I know you're not going to endorse a candidate this morning, but what kind of person do you think should take on that job, and what should their role be?
Obviously, I'm biased, but you know, somebody from these parts, I think, would be great. Louise Hay. Possibly Lucy Powell, who I think did a brilliant job in government. I think that's what it needs. You know, we need to hear the voice of the party, the voice of the members, and then the voice of our communities behind that, particularly in the north of England, to counter that London centricity. And I just would say more broadly, I think it also needs to be a bit of a reset for the government. You know, I wish the new cabinet and the ministerial team well, and I'm here to support them and work with them. But I do think, you know, there needs to be a reset of the way we're doing things. If the government says it's going to do something, it should just do it. It can't be right that we're still in negotiations about the Hillsborough law, for instance. That's unfair, in my view, to the Hillsborough families. You know, this is a moment to sort of like take a bit of stock, reset, and then as one Labour team, come back stronger.
John Healy, I know you're a proud Yorkshireman yourself, so you don't need to be told by Andy Burnham the value of listening to people from the north of England. But he, like Emily Thornberry, is saying very clearly there's a sense the leadership's been maybe too controlling. They haven't paid enough attention to their backbenchers, and that has to change.
I dispute that. Our focus has been on the public that elected us, the delivery that we're charged to change their lives. It's a big part of the job we all do.
For fuck's sake, you've seen who's in charge now from this cabinet reshuffle. I am formulating what to talk about, and if any guidance is needed, I might actually set up a channel for my disabled comrades who are on my Discord, so we all have a resource, so we can go to it's Citizens Advice Scotland up here, so like Citizens Advice Bureau down in England and Wales. I'm not too sure about Northern Ireland. Sorry, Northern Ireland. But I can help get. We can find resources for people who are navigating this nonsense. Oh! Rejoice, comrades! Some random geek is lurking in the void. Watch out for the tardigrades. Some random geek. If you haven't already, go and follow Some Random Geek. They be based. They be playing. I can't remember what you're playing now. I keep on saying Borderlands, but I think you've moved on. They also do Fortnite, which is fun. Did they? They threw me under the bus as well during the coalition years. Super Hubby dealt with them and they apologised. The one that actually got, the one that our contact that we had at the Citizens Advice Scotland was completely inept, didn't know what he was doing. So one of the senior ones who'd been there for years took over and apologised and said, right, here we go, I'm really deeply sorry, please apologise to your... we weren't married at that point, we were just engaged, but we were living together, cohabitating. Please apologise to your partner. We all help, and here's resources, this is how you do this, they come back in, and we can work out how to fill out the bastard form. They didn't say that I'm saying bastard form because it is bastard form. It's far too fucking long. And most of it redundant. I think it was designed to deny people benefits. Labour haven't changed the form, by the way.
And our government will miss Angela Rayner. She's not been a victim. She's under a lot of pressure, and Andy Burnham's right about that, but she's been an inspiration to...
She got done over with that story getting leaked. Plus she partly to blame as well by herself. She should have taken the advice and just picked the phone. So a mixture of it getting leaked to the press and not doing what was recommended to her, so shot herself in the foot essentially. Yeah. Oh, thank you for visiting, Miss Hire. A pleasure as always, darling. Stay hydrated. Self-care is good care. Take your meds. Stay based. And I'll catch you later. Night night, darling.
Many, particularly working class women. She's been a very effective minister, leading the overhaul, the biggest overhaul of employment rights in a generation, and also starting the planning reforms that will lead to us building a lot more homes. So,
and as we saw from Helena earlier on, Christina McEnany, the head of Unison, they're worried that it's going to get diluted. I quite believe it will be. I quite believe the workers' right bill is going to get fucked. Because business is worried. I think it will get watered down. We will see. I'm keeping a close eye on that, by the way.
Any government is stronger with Angela Rayner, but we've got a good new team in place now, and that's our job.
And outside the machinations of the Labour Party, though, what is going to be different for people watching at home? We think that there are about 1,000 people across the channel yesterday. We know the public have huge concerns about migration. There's suggestions in the papers that Ministry of Defence sites might be used to house migrants coming here, and even a suggestion that the military might be involved in policing the border. Is that going to happen?
Well, Shabana Mahmood will be able to build on some of the progress that Yvette Cooper's been able to make. So we've deported 35,000 people who've got no right to be in Britain in the last year. We've had the National Crime Agency mounting over 300 raids on smuggler gangs. And for the first time, we're now detaining people, ready to deport them because of the returns agreement that Yvette Cooper's managed to get in place with France. But we're absolutely determined. What you're seeing from Keir Starmer now is a recognition that this isn't just a job for the Home Office, it's all of government effort, and we in the MOD will play our part. We've got planners alongside the Home Office. We're looking at military and non-military sites for potential temporary accommodation, and this is about trying to restore control of our borders, which was lost over the last 5 or 6 years, and the confidence of the British people that we can keep them secure and we can reflect our values.
I just want to be very clear about what you're saying, though. You say military planners will be involved in helping to manage what many people see as a crisis in migration. Are you talking about members of the armed forces being involved in enforcing our borders?
So at the moment we've got military planners involved in helping the Border Command. We've got them alongside Home Office planners looking at potential sites and solutions. Make no mistake, we're determined to end the use of expensive asylum hotels. We said that we'll do that by the end of the Parliament. Keir Starmer wants to do that before now. The numbers are coming down. We're processing the applications that were completely stalled under the previous government, and we're deporting more now than we have done in recent years.
But I just want to be very clear on this point. Are you talking about the military helping just with the accommodation and managing people who have already arrived here, or are you talking about something else, the military actually being involved in enforcing the border? Because that's a very different thing.
Now, at the moment, Keir Starmer has said military planners are alongside the Home Office, planners in Border Command and planners alongside the Home Office, looking at the way that we can accelerate the closing of asylum hotels, the development of alternative accommodation that can deal with people who are coming to this country illegally, who may need to be processed may not have a right to stay here and will be deported in bigger numbers as well.
Now, our viewers take a keen interest, of course, in defence, and we've talked to you about the military and defence matters on other occasions, and you'll understand why we've concentrated so much on politics this morning. I must ask you, though, about the strikes on Kiev overnight, Russian drones attacking government buildings in the heart of that city. I know you were in Kiev just this week. Despite President Trump.
I asked Super Hubby about this, about what this latest round is essentially the Ukrainian version of like Whitehall. So government offices and stuff like that. So a Ukrainian Whitehall, essentially, that they've targeted this time. Delightful. Something's going to have to get done here. I don't know what. I do not presume to say, obviously, because I'm not Ukrainian or Russian for that matter. But I just look at this and I feel for the Ukrainian citizens, essentially. Just this is going to need resolving soon. It's been going on for 3 years, for crying out loud. It's ridiculous. And it's the ordinary citizens who are caught in the middle of all of this. They just want to live their lives, go to their work, go to uni, go to school, actually get their country back. That might be controversial saying that, you know. But this needs sorted. The sooner the better. And do not think Donald is going to be helping much. He's probably going to actively make it worse, come to think of it. That man needs dealt with and all. My American comrades, I feel for you. The midterms should be interesting next year.
Trump's claims that peace might be on the way. There's simply no sign of that, is there?
Well, at the same time, Putin is talking to Trump in Alaska, and he's stepping up this intensity of attacks on Ukrainian cities and civilians. And I saw the damage, as you say, in Kyiv this week when I stood outside the bombed-out British Council building there. But I also heard from the military and civilians alike the defiance and the determination of the Ukrainians to keep fighting Putin's illegal invasion. And we have a role in the UK to coordinate those nations who are willing to stand with Ukraine now, step up the military aid as we're doing to keep them in the fight, but also to coordinate the nations as we are through the Coalition of the Willing. And I was in Kyiv this week. Those countries, those nations willing to help secure the peace if we can get a peace agreement in place.
Okay, John Healey, we'll look forward to talking to you about that and other defence matters on another occasion soon, but it's always good to have you with us in the studio. Thank you very much for coming in. Well, Labour's woes have been, like it or not, an absolute gift for Reform UK, who seem to be having an absolute ball at their conference in Birmingham, the first of the season. As well as fireworks and signing football shirts, Nigel Farage sat down with us yesterday, and I wondered if he really could criticise the government for shedding ministers when he himself has already said goodbye to 2 of his tiny group of MPs.
Well, you can get away with it as a new emerging party because naturally there's going to be a filtering out process. I think the point about this government is they're not qualified for office. Where are the life experiences of this cabinet? Where's the business brain in this cabinet? Where's anybody in this cabinet that's ever run a company or been in private business? Shuffling the cabinet around, I mean, so what?
You said, though, yesterday you can't get away with being Housing Secretary and avoiding £40,000 of tax.
No.
But you want to be Prime Minister, and your own tax and business affairs aren't exactly straightforward. Your home and your...
I'm very sorry. I take objection to the very premise of that question.
Well, I'm going to just ask you about it, because I know that you believe and you say you want to be transparent and open. So your constituency home, where you stay in Clacton, is owned by your partner, I believe. And you have a separate company for your earnings outside being an MP. I just wonder, not suggesting anything...
Well, number one, they're 2 separate questions. The fact that she's bought a house, I mean, why not?
I'm not suggesting there's anything improper. My question is that you, like many other politicians, have affairs where there's a lot of money swilling around and that are not very like the financial arrangements of most people. Do you think that you can relate to people watching this interview?
I have been for 30 years, in my own way, an entrepreneur. I've run companies for 30 years. I've employed lots of people directly. I've employed loads of people as contractors. As it happens, I still employ quite a few
You don't
people
employ
as
contractors,
contractors.
you hire
I
them,
have a
Nigel.
company that does a variety of things. Media income.
Contractor, I'm taking the word contractor as like plumbers, engineers, maybe electricians, builders companies, blah blah blah. You hire them; they are businessmen in their own right. Some the self-certification, blah blah blah. You hire them because you can't do it yourself. They are not employees. You are not a boss.
Is just one of them. And you know what? Do we want people in politics who have paid tax, lots of tax, who've created lots of jobs, or not?
Would you commit to publish your tax returns
God
as you
damn it.
proceed on your journey that Hope will be getting you to number 10?
All my company returns, of course, are filed
I
every
read
year
through it and
at
I
Companies House and there for all to see.
hang on,
What about your own personal tax return?
Is it? It doesn't answer. I don't know where we're going wrong, darling. I really don't. It's starting to irritate me. We're going to have to figure this out. I read through it. I implemented what the link that you gave me suggested, and it's not worked. We'll try again later on after the stream if you want, or maybe tomorrow actually. Rejoice, comrades. Mod extraordinaire. Hi, darling. I hope Raptor's feeling okay.
I haven't published my own personal tax returns. I personally think that's an intrusion too far. I don't believe it's necessary.
So that's not something you would do on your journey to what you hope would take you to number 10?
At the moment, I'm not inclined at the moment to do that.
Let's then talk about immigration. Now, you said yesterday, if you make it to Downing Street, that you would stop all small boats arriving within 2 weeks. How on earth would you do that?
As soon as the law is in place, as soon as you have the ability to detain and deport, you'll stop it in 2 weeks.
But to be clear about what you're promising the public, you're saying 2 weeks after you passed a law,
of course,
which might take many, many months.
Well, we want to do it as quickly as we possibly can.
But just to be clear with people watching this, your promise therefore would be not if you get into power, that you would...
Nigel, I said that the other place with crash, and that's why it's called the other place. It shouldn't exist. Second electable chamber, please. I'm fed up of saying this. I'm in my 40s, for crying out loud. We shouldn't have this. And don't worry, we wouldn't have something like the Senate over in the States. Fucking hell. Sorry, Shanna, no slight to you, of course, just the way your country's run. What makes you think the Lords, the three main parties, if you wish, those Lords are going to let you pass this? It's going to have to go through the other place, by the way, to make it legislation. Unless it's in your manifesto, which people vote on, then you can just use the sledgehammer, which is the Parliament Act, saying no, in manifesto, people voted for this, blah. Shut up, crusties. Oh. Oh. Hello, Doc. What makes you think the Lords, the Tory or the Labour Lords are going to let that get through? They're going to decimate it.
Stop the boats within 2 weeks. It's that after you passed legislation, which might take a long time to go through Parliament, you think
well,
it would
number
take
one,
a
let's hope
fortnight
it
to
doesn't
happen.
take a long time, but within 2 weeks of passing legislation, we will stop this. Absolutely.
Aren't you risking doing what you criticise others for doing? It's making big, bold promises to the public that actually, when you look at the small print, don't quite stack up.
The difference is we mean it. We actually mean it. The others never have.
We mean it.
The others, the others just tell the electorate what they think.
Greatest work of fiction ever written, party manifestos. They mean it. They mean it. And we can believe them. Delightfully insane, isn't he? every other party manifesto and every other thing, every other politician of any sort of political hue, they've said that. We mean this, we'll do this, blah, 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 blah. Do we trust them? Do we believe them? Case in point, all the promises when he was running to be Labour leader after Jeremy, they're all gone. They all got fucking put away, forgotten, changed, completely flipped on their head, essentially, some of them. We do not believe any of you, by the way, especially you, Manfrog. Okay? But we can believe him, apparently.
I think the electorate want to hear without ever intending to deliver it. And the last government knew, and this government knows, that all the while we have the European Convention of Human Rights written into British law under the Human Rights Act, that this is difficult stroke impossible.
But would it not inevitably take a period of many months to withdraw from the convention, to pass legislation, to get it through the House of Lords, which you and I both know is not the kind of group of people who would be minded to say, sure, let's pass all this legislation overnight?
Well, you know what? Through those battles, one thing the country would know is that we're on their side. Because at the moment, they don't feel that anyone's on their side.
Over the summer, and since we last spoke, there has been huge public disquiet about what has been going on with immigration. There has, though, also, at some of these protests, been evidence of some kind of language, some kind of activities that I think a lot of people watching might find distressing. At one protest in North London, it was heard people saying, get these scum off our streets. Outside a hotel at a protest in Falkirk in Scotland, there was evidence of people saying, keep Britain white. In Epping, at those protests,
Ash, all of it. And he's playing into it, or he's saying this, and they're getting more emboldened, essentially. Thanks, Nigel. Resurgence of the right. Brilliant. Loving it. Carry on. See what fucking happens if they try that nonsense in Glasgow.
outside the Bell, people were talking about pedo protectors. Now, as the leader of the most popular party in the country, according to the polls right now, I just wonder, do you want to condemn those remarks?
Very, very easy, isn't it, to take a few extremists, to quote what they say. And by the way, equally, we could talk about masked Antifa thugs turning up at these events too. But let's remember how these protests started. What was the Bell all about? The Bell was all about mothers and women in Epping from the local community, quite rightly, protesting that a 14-year-old girl had been sexually assaulted by one of these men who crossed by boat. So let's just keep a sense of perspective on this. And actually, you know, we've seen case after case of this. There are too many undocumented young males coming into Britain, being free to walk our streets, who come from cultures in which women are not even second-class citizens. And that is the brutal truth of what we're talking. So are there some people on both ends of this who turn up because they think it's all, you know, going to be, you know, in their interest to stir up discontent? Yes. But at the heart of it is a genuine concern. And that's why you're seeing flags going up all around the country. This is the ordinary, decent British people are literally sticking two fingers up.
Oh, for fuck's sake. These people that are putting up these flags, painting things, fine, put a flag up. Fuck it, I don't care. I would proudly fly it, but this isn't my property, so I can't, unfortunately. I would proudly fly the Progress flag and the Saltire if I could. I did have a Saltire in my bedroom window at one point. We read about the independence campaign, essentially. So 11 years ago, essentially. Super Hubby felt uneasy. Well, right, I'll let you have it for this campaign, and that's it. He doesn't want to be identified. I can understand that. But these people putting flags up and painting, graffitiing everything, that's criminal damage, and just putting up these flags on lampposts and stuff, just deeply, deeply fringe and the. I have no problem with people flying flags if they have a legal right to do so. If they're allowed to fly flags from their property, from their house, if they wish, or their business, entirely up to them. But putting them on lampposts and spray painting, painting things around the community, please just stop doing that. For Christ's sake. You don't see people going around spray painting the Saltire everywhere. Some of us have the Saltire flag in our window, like the little paper ones or a little fabric one, to show our loyalty to Scotland.
To the establishment.
But in order that ordinary people's concerns aren't misrepresented, as the leader of the party that right now is the most popular according to the polls, do you want to condemn those kinds of remarks or that kind of sentiment being expressed?
In order,
because it doesn't do a service to the people who have worries.
In order this is not misrepresented, it is not fair of the media just to quote extremists and not mothers who are genuinely concerned. Do I welcome extremist comments from either side? No, I don't. Of course I don't. I never ever have. But I worry that when we talk about what some of the extremes say, we miss the essence of what's really happening here.
Are you saying things all the time now, as someone who wants to be absolutely taken as a politician, deadly serious about politics, that you really mean? Because one of the things you said recently is that Britain is becoming like North Korea. Now, we sit here having a free conversation, interviewing politicians. You can say what you like.
I'm not.
Oh? Has the echo gone? We will figure this out eventually. Fucking hell. If the echo is gone, I will rejoice. Victory! So I can be heard. Carry on, Manfrog and Laura.
Yeah, but I'm not an Irish comedy writer, am I? I'm not an Irish comedy writer who, for something I put out whilst I was in Arizona, and I'm not even a British citizen, gets met by 5 armed police at Heathrow.
But in North Korea, political protest is punished. People who try to
Laura,
leave the country are
executed. All of that. I think what happened that day to that man is the single most outrageous attack on free speech and liberty I've ever seen in this country. And if you find the analogy...
He threatened violence. He has every right to be arrested. I'm not an Irish comedy writer. I don't think Glenner is either.
Of North Korea too much. Well, there you are.
So you're clear that you're just making an analogy. My question, I suppose, is it a serious thing to do? To go to another country and tell them our country's
if it makes people think, if it makes people think and debate what happened, good.
You've been drawing across some pretty well-known Conservative figures. Nadine Dorries, the latest of them, former Cabinet Minister and someone who's close to Boris Johnson. I just wonder, do you fancy your chances of getting him across? Have you had any conversations with him?
I don't think that would really work somehow. I don't.
Why not?
Oh, I think that the Boris wave, you know, and I like him personally. I always have done.
Tell that to the Mail on Sunday, Nigel. Because they seem to think that the two of you need to unite to crush Labour. What the fuck, Mail on Sunday? Just leave that individual out in political wilderness. We don't need him back. Seriously, just Boris, stay the fuck away. Thank you. Enough said.
He's a very entertaining bloke, but I think that the Boris wave was felt by millions of people.
Legal migration to this country.
Yeah, millions of people being allowed into Britain, most of whom, by the way, don't even work and are costing us a fortune. That's something for which this audience will never, ever forgive him. Nadine was a Brexiteer, of course, herself, and she brings us the one commodity we're very short of, and that's experience at government level. That is our biggest weakness. You know, you can ask me lots of questions about policy and personnel and all the rest of it. But if you ask me, how are you going to do this? I can't really give you an answer because I haven't got anybody in the senior team that's ever been there before. Nadine came yesterday, she's the first, and there will be others.
Isn't it a bit rich, though, because you're criticising this government, saying nobody's qualified to do it, and you're saying, I don't have people who are qualified to do it.
As of yesterday, I started to get more qualified to do it, and that process will continue.
So we should look out for more former ministers coming to join you?
Oh, yes.
Any hints of who?
Not just yet.
Nigel Farage, thank you very much indeed
Thank
for
you.
speaking to us. Thank you. Well, let's go 50-50. Let's begin our conversation about Nigel Farage and then talk about Labour and the reshuffle. Brian, while we were watching that, you said he's just an incredible person.
Yeah, I don't mean an incredible in a positive way. I think incredible in a negative way. I find him very venal, quite honestly, as an individual. He's selfish, and he's, on the whole, quite uninformed. I just dazzled at the way a lot of people have been seduced by him, because he's a bit of a bully. You can tell it the way he conducted an interview with you. I thought was a lot of it was kind of just badgering. I just don't trust the man. And also now, I know you've been part of that, but now what happened with Brexit, there's never been a more positive time that we need to be a Europe. We've got to be Europe again because of what's happening in the Ukraine. And if we don't recognise that now, we're lost.
And yet, Michael Gove, listening to Brian, there will be lots of people watching at home thinking, no, Nigel Farage is the one who understands my concerns. He's the one who speaks for me because, frankly, your two parties haven't done a good enough job for many years.
What the hell?
He's a formidably powerful communicator. I mean, of course, the biggest, I think, revelation in the interview was the point that he almost volunteered at the end about the unpreparedness of reform for government. So I think, to be fair, actually, he relishes a row over asylum in Epping. He enjoys being able to use the North Korean analogy in order to bring something back to a free speech issue.
Surely not a politician saying something controversial to create a conversation and draw attention to it.
Imagine such a thing happening. So all of this is catnip to him. But the fundamental reform weakness is the lack of a detailed programme for government, let alone the people to implement it. And later this year, we're going to be facing a much more difficult economic situation. And it is on the economy that reform is weakest of all. When the conversation is about culture wars and borders, this is home territory for Nigel Farage. But when the conversation moves on to the economy, that is where, as we saw actually at the Reform Conference, they don't have answers.
But you were there, and I just wonder, having been to many political conferences, both as a journalist and then a cabinet minister and a Conservative MP, what did you make of the assembled gathering? Because having been there myself, the difference between Reform right now and your two parties, frankly, is that they look like they are having a great time. They are making their members feel good. They are pulling people in. And that is giving them success in the polls, at least for now.
That is true. I'm just about old enough, I was at school at the time, to remember the Liberal SDP phenomenon, which had, funnily enough, a very different ideology, but had something of the same apparent freshness about it. The difficult thing about politics, and this is what Farage himself acknowledged at the end, is that campaigning is easy, governing is hard, and at the moment, reform is a festival. What it is not is an alternative.
Emily, when you look and listen to Nigel Farage, what do you think he is doing right that your party is getting wrong? As you said, you don't think Labour's been listening to people enough, so you've given us your analysis of that. But what is he doing right that you're doing wrong?
I think there's something about saying what you mean and meaning what you say. And I think that he gives that impression. I mean, I don't think that he does mean it. And he actually, at the end of the interview, was saying, well, don't ask me any detailed questions. The point is, I really care. I really care, and I care more than anyone else. But don't ask me any questions about what I'm going to do, because I don't have the experience to be able to do it. It's beyond being a snake oil salesman. It's like, someone saying, oh, well, tell me about your snake oil. He goes, oh, well, I don't think I've got any at the moment because I don't have any experience, but I will get some snake oil. I mean, it is absolute palpable nonsense, and it won't, I hope, survive a general election when I hope it is properly examined and people start saying, well, exactly what is it that you're doing? I think also the other thing which was really exposed He's supposed to really care about the asylum seekers, people coming in over in boats. And when you ask him about his plan for getting people back, he says it's only going to cost 10 billion. It's then put to him that his mate until recently had a plan that was exactly the same, that cost 5 times as much. And to which he says, oh, well, I've got somebody in my team who's really good at maths. Maths is not good enough to be able to change numbers in that way. And these sorts of things will need to be exposed, because in order for him to have control of the country, he does need to have some substance and not just the gloss.
What then for your own party? A reshuffled team around Keir Starmer. We heard John Healey, who actually disputed the suggestion that he and his cabinet colleagues haven't listened to MPs enough. Do you think that this reshuffled cabinet is actually going to do anything very differently?
I think what he was saying particularly was that they were listening to the public, and I think that there's a difference between listening to focus groups and listening to members of parliament who themselves can be a cipher for the public. Members of parliament go out and knock on doors, they find out what their community is thinking, and then they bring it to parliament, and actually they need to be listened to, as do the very members of the party who are also in that community.
And here are some images of the new cabinet. David Lammy, the new Deputy Prime Minister. There's the new Foreign Secretary, Yvette Cooper, who a lot of people around these parts think was moved for not doing a good enough job on immigration.
She's very interested in foreign affairs. I mean, I know her well.
Well, you're the chair of the Foreign Affairs Committee. Looking forward to taking her on?
Yeah, of course. And I know that she's going to be looking forward to moving into the Foreign Office. She's done Home Affairs for a long time.
But do you think, though, that they, as a group of people, are actually going to be able to show to the public that they are governing effectively, and that over time Labour will climb out of the doldrums?
I think we can certainly climb out of the doldrums. I think that we do need to put a spring in our step. I do think that we need to be more confident, but I think that part of that has to be that we're confident that we are representing the public properly, and the way we do that is by listening. And by saying we have a plan, this is what we're doing. You may not like all of it. We know that some of you don't like all of it, but where we're going to, you do like. So give us a chance. We've only been in power for a year. Give us a chance and we can get there. But I think that we need to be able to use all the strengths of the...
You had 5 years in shadow. You should have been formulating shit then. Did you? Apparently not. You had 5 years to get that sorted. Laughable, really, isn't it? Our government are completely fucking useless and ghoulish. Delightful. I really don't know how the budget's going to go down. We don't know what's in it yet, obviously. I wonder what evilness Rachel's is cooking up for us. It's going to be fucking delightful, as always. Ugh.
Labour Party, and I think that sometimes people in number 10, and it always happens, whoever the leadership is, when whichever political party, can end up finding themselves increasingly isolated. And if you make decisions in a small group, you don't make such good decisions than if you are listening to a much wider group of people.
And as part of that group of a wider group of people is going to mean a new deputy leader. Would Dame Emily Thornberry fancy that as a job?
Go, Emily, go.
Well, no, listen,
look, Michael will run your campaign. I think that's an offer there. That would go very well with the Labour Party membership.
I'm thinking about it. And it's really a question of kind of what can I bring to it. I mean, I hear what is said about, the deputy leader should come from Manchester, and obviously the mayor of Manchester would say that. I'm sure that people would say they should come from Wales or from Scotland, or from what's important is what you bring. What's important is what you bring. Do you have the strength? Do you have the experience? Can you actually make a difference?
But if
and I got to kind of think about that.
But if Michael and Brian and I all put a fiver on this time next week, Emily Thornberry having her name on the ballot to be Labour's next deputy leader, would we be 15 quid down or 15 quid?
I don't think you should be betting, guys. I don't think you should bet one way or the other. I think you should, and certainly not politics these days. Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow, let alone...
Current or indeed former Tory MPs putting bets on political outcomes, not a good look.
That didn't end well, yes, and I'm not endorsing betting. Metaphorically speaking, of course. Brian, listening then to these two talk about how Nigel Farage could be challenged, and indeed about how Labour can climb out of the doldrums. To get you back on board as somebody of the left, you've been interested in the Scottish National Party, but you are a man of the left, what would you like Keir Starmer to do that could get you back into his fold?
Well, I find Keir very Anglo-centric, quite honestly. I don't think he really has much knowledge of what's going on elsewhere. And I find that as a drawback in the leader of the Labour Party, quite honestly. And I find him like that a little bit. And so he seems to be very London-based. And it kind of worries me a little bit. A lot of his thinking is like that. Now, maybe this is an improvement. Maybe this is going to go better. Maybe this is the right plan. I don't know. At least it is a plan. And he is shaking up people. And, of course, I know he wasn't particularly an Yvette Cooper fan. I know that for a fact. So, but it's just something that I've felt a little bit about Keir. He's very much the lawyer, in a way, and he's thinking. And I find it really unfortunate that he is not more embracing what's the real problems are. And I think that Emily sort of hit on it. He's not listening nearly enough. But he's not, it's not that he's not listening, he listens locally, but he's not listening to the country and the Britain as a whole.
Michael, do you have a sense of whether or not this will have an impact that Keir Starmer would like? You know, his team say, look, this is a new team, it's a reboot, we're going to be stronger, we're going to get ourselves together. Do you find that credible?
It is certainly the case that one or two of the people who have been given more prominent roles in this reshuffle are impressive in their own right. Shabana Mahmood and Pat McFadden are competent people who I think can be trusted to do an effective job in their department. However, the fundamental problem is Keir Starmer himself. His closest aides, before the general election, when they were talking to journalists, compared him to the driver of a Dockland light railway train. They were basically saying he is directed by others. He just sits there looking as though he's in charge. And we will see in the deputy leadership race, whether Emily or someone else goes for it, a debate about the future of the Labour Party, which will essentially be a group of people asking the question, how do we improve on, frankly, the vacuum that Keir Starmer currently provides?
Well, we will see. A lot of his allies would, of course, dispute that very strongly, that metaphor. But all three of you, thank you very much indeed for now. And thank you to you too, because over the summer we had lots of interesting emails from you on all sorts of topics. You know we love to hear from you. The details are there of how you get in touch, and we might squeeze in some in before the end of the show. Or they'll be in our newsletter on Thursday. So with Reform, a big resignation and the reshuffle, it's not easy for the other parties to get a look in. But by any measure, it's notable that the Tories, who are the main opposition technically, have been struggling to take a toehold. But Kemi Badenoch, I'm pleased to say, is with us this morning for this first show of the season. Let's just take a look at some pictures of some people. David Jones, Jake Berry, Graham Simpson and Nadine Dorries, all politicians. I think we can show them to the audience. What do these people have in common?
Laura, you know what they all have in common. They're all people who have decided to leave the Conservative Party and join Reform, which is extraordinary because the biggest problem facing our country is that the economy is in crisis. And Nigel Farage will only make it worse. He wants to increase benefits. We're the only party talking about living within our means. And that's quite important. What I'm doing is turning the Conservative Party into the traditional, authentic conservatism that people recognise. And that's going to mean taking some tough decisions. I'm afraid if people don't like it, then they are welcome to leave.
They are welcome to go. So if they don't like it, then lump it. Are you not?
I will say again, 330,000 excess deaths because of austerity. Thanks, Tories. Delightful as always. You literally tried to end me by putting me into manual review. We struggled for 6 fucking months, nearly 7. It was horrible. We were struggling to pay our bills. We weren't eating enough. My health took a nosedive because of that, because I needed protein. I need food to take my meds. The meds I was on back then. No food for you, scummy little pro. It was fucking horrible. I was on the bare fucking minimum from the Department of Work and Pensions during that time. Not nearly enough to get all my supports and everything else I had to pay for back then. And then they decided to put us into manual review. Delightful. Super Hubby literally busted a gut. He done everything. He went to every fucking resource. My mum supported us for those 6 months essentially, with a couple of food parcels. from the food bank. But it was my mum that helped us get through that. She was panicking. I lost 3 fucking stone for crying out loud. I didn't look healthy, let's put it that way. I'm not going through that again. I'm not. I refuse to be a victim. I am glad my benefit is administered by Holyrood and I'm back. I'm on the full amount now. They just parked me and left me there, hoping I'd starve today. And it's going to be worse under reform, by the way. Don't believe her that he's going to increase benefits. One or two of them, and that's it. The rest of us, disabled people and the sick and the working poor, he's just going to come after us. Just like McFadden's going to, I believe. We'll wait and see what sort of ghost little plans he's whispering in Rachel's ear.
Worried that people look at what you're offering and actually they don't find it something that they want to join. They don't want to be part of it anymore.
If people don't want to be part of living within our means and making sure that we're not spending £100 billion on debt interest, not the debt, on debt interest, then we have a real problem. We are stealing our children's future. We're borrowing their money. That is not right. I mean, Nigel Farage in his interview was talking about taking Nadine Dorries as an expert. He is against the Online Safety Act. She developed that and championed it. So there is an intellectual incoherence that is that they are bringing on board. We are making ourselves very coherent. We're not rushing out, telling people what they want to hear, bringing out slogans. We're taking the time to do opposition right because we just suffered a historic defeat last year. It's going to take time to win back the public's trust.
I suppose
because the country was fed up.
You have had now some time. We can show what's happened since the time you've been in charge. And you're right, you've not yet had a full 12 months as leader. But in politics, things move incredibly quickly. And this is after you won the leadership. If we look at the polls from December last year, on average, you were at 25%. Now you're on 17%, if you look at the poll of polls. That's a very obvious slide. And during that time, Reform keep topping the polls again and again and again.
What I have also said, Laura, is that oppositions are, take a long time to come back after historic defeats. The last oppositions have been 14 years, 13 years, and 18 years. I've been in 10 months, and I have something that's very different from what previous Conservative oppositions have had, which is a challenger party that claims to be on the right. Those are things that are going to take time to deal with. The reason why this is happening and why populist and protest parties are doing well is because the government that won a historic majority is in freefall. This time last week, Keir Starmer hadn't even started his reset, and already.
I will just say again, your party lost, Labour didn't win. The country were fucking fed up he is. And yeah, just look at this year. How do we see Labour doing? We'll see after the budget, obviously, see what happens and see the mood of the country after the budget happens, see what sort of fallout we get from it.
It's over. We have a Deputy Prime Minister resigning because she hasn't paid £40,000 in tax, and the public are fed up. My job now is to show that the Conservative Party has changed under my leadership. It's going to take time, it's not going to be easy, but the way we're doing it is by making sure that we have a real plan for government, not just announcements like other parties have, but a real plan for delivery.
But are you still sure, as you told us actually a few times in the time that you've been in charge, that Reform is a protest party? Are you sure that's the case when they now have more than 200,000 members and they've been...
Even Nigel Farage himself said pretty much that people are angry with the previous two parties and he has a blank sheet. But what I'm saying is that he's making the same mistake that Labour did. Labour said, once we remove Conservatives, everything will be fine. Now he's saying, oh, once we remove Labour and Conservatives, everything will be fine. Still making the same mistakes of not doing the real work in opposition, of figuring out how we solve our problems. Our economy is no longer productive. We are living beyond our means. We're spending more on debt interest than we do on education. We're spending so much on welfare, health and social benefits, far more than on defence. We're not in a good place. How are we going to get ourselves out of this? He doesn't have a plan. We're working on one. We've already come out with policies around borders where we know we made mistakes. But we're learning from them. But what I see is Labour and Nigel Farage making bigger mistakes than the ones we did, and they will run into trouble.
And are you going to, at your party's conference, confirm what everybody thinks is the direction of travel, that under your leadership the Conservatives would leave the European Convention on Human Rights?
I have said that we will announce what our plan is at party conference, yes, but I have always said that if we need to leave the ECHR in order to control borders, then we should leave. But the case needs to be made, the evidence needs to be there. What I'm not going to do is what Nigel Farage did over Brexit, saying we'll leave and everything will be fine, without thinking through what the plan would be. And you saw what happened. You saw what happened. When you make those announcements with no plans, you end up going round and round in circles. We had a plan for deterrence, the Rwanda plan to remove people. Keir Starmer came in, scrapped it, had no plan in place.
Well, it had been gummed up in the courts for years and it never came into force.
It was about it. That was what we put to, that was what we put to the electorate. I completely disagree. It was a deterrent. And what we have seen is him failing to smash the gangs. 1,000 people came into the country yesterday. He should at least have tried it and he should bring it back.
What's interesting is when you listen to Nigel Farage, some of the things that he's saying about culture are in some ways quite similar to some of the things you've said to us previously. And I just want to remind people, he said that there are too many undocumented young males coming to Britain free to walk the streets who come from cultures where women are not even second-class citizens. You said to us last year, not all cultures are equally valid, cultures that believe women don't have equal rights. Do you agree with him on that point then? Are you in the same place?
This is something that I've been saying for a very long time, that culture matters a lot. The kind of people who come to our country need to be people who love our values, want to be a part of Britain. Our country is not a hotel or a dormitory. If Nigel Farage agrees with me, then that's fine. But one of the things that we need to focus on is how we solve our border issue, and also how we solve our economic issue. They are intertwined. This is not a problem unique to the UK. France has it worse. Italy has it even worse. This is a problem that needs to be solved across all of Western Europe. And the way we do it is by thinking very carefully, making sure that we continue making money, be productive, we don't destroy our economy, so that we can resource all of the efforts that we need to enforce our borders.
But do you see yourself as being aligned with Nigel Farage on this issue then, even if you express yourselves in different ways?
Well, I think that he is aligning himself with something I've been saying for a very long time.
So he's aligning himself with you. What about a bigger alignment? Nadine Dorries is suggesting this morning that Boris Johnson should join Reform, and Nigel Farage predicted there'd be more former Tory cabinet ministers going across to him. Have you got a list in your head of people who might head for the exit?
I think it's very interesting that Nigel Farage said that he wanted to destroy the Conservative Party. He spent all his time criticising Conservatives, but on his interview actually confessed that he wanted Conservatives to join his party because he couldn't do anything without them. What I'm doing right now is making sure that the Conservative Party is fit and ready to fight an election in 4 years' time. It's not going to be next week or next month. We're all speaking as if there's an election right now. What I need to do is make sure that when a general election is upon us, that we have a plan that the country will like, that they can trust us again, that they can see that we've learned from our mistakes, we've apologised for where we went wrong, and that we are not going to have the mess that we saw with Labour just this week, where they have a Deputy Prime Minister resigning for not paying her taxes. We've got to show that we are above board and ready.
OK, Kemi Badenoch, thanks so much for coming in for our first show, and we hope to see you at your conference in a few weeks' time. Thanks very much indeed. Now, ministers have had a hard enough time this week trying to manage events at home, let alone the tangled web of issues abroad, and of course the ongoing conflict in Gaza. Despite months of many of Israel's allies calling on them.
Oh, no. This is the American ambassador in Tel Aviv. Or just, I don't know if they've moved it to Jerusalem or if he's still in Tel Aviv. No, I'm not listening to him. Oh, God, I've been going for 3.5 hours. I think that is my limit. I was looking there for who to raid, and my lovely comrade, my lovely friend, Red Rust 308, is going. So let's go and say hi to Red Rust. He is brilliant. He usually is playing Rocksmith, so he's playing his bass, or Terraria, digging, or no oxygen not included, which is a rather fun, cute little game. Or what else? I've forgotten what else he plays. He is good people. We love Red Rust in this channel. So let's go and say hi to Red Rust. Where be he? Oi, give me red rust. Huh, okay. Oh.
Or Alien Nancy.
Well, I
Been going for 2.5 hours.
resist using it, but in this case, the professor.
Classic Kirk.
Let's go and say hi to Red Rust.
Take it.
And some classic Star Trek.
I'll accompany you, Doctor. Oh, yes, of course.
Captain Kirk to dispensary. Captain Kirk to dispensary. Urgent.
Thank you, everyone. It's been a pleasure as always. I hope you have learned something. And you loved the snark.
Wondered about McCoy.
Stay
Died
hydrated.
across my mind.
Captain.
Self-care is good care. Take your meds.
Professor Crater.
Stay based. And I'll catch us all later on tonight. Gonna
Had you
quite a
too.
lot of hours, actually.
Fortunately, my ancestors spawned in another ocean than yours did.
#1 Professor Crater.